What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your boy Adam Perez. I'm back, baby, once again with a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report. Wrapping up your weekend, we've got 6 incredible topics we're going to be breaking down for you guys today. Some honorable mentions, some live viewer questions towards the end of the show. We've got a ton of really impromptu news in regards to Kevin Feige talking about the next steps for the MCU. We've got a Superman spoiler review discussion we want to have with you guys. If you've had the opportunity to check out Superman, we got a Mortal Kombat trailer that we're going to be reviewing today as well. So we're back in business, I think. But I'll definitely see you guys on the other side. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I'll see you guys soon. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Adam Perez here once again. It's been a minute, y'all. It's been a minute. First and foremost, if my internet is a little bit janky, I apologize. I'm going to need you guys to certainly help me out here. We got a whole new. I'll explain some things to you guys. Right now, it doesn't look like my signal's not the greatest, but if you guys are experiencing any lag, if my microphone doesn't seem to be working really well, please go ahead and certainly let me know in the live chat, the comments. I'm still working right now on getting things back to normal. It may be a few weeks, but this is my current setup. So to give you guys some backstory as to where your boy has been, my laptop has been acting up. It's been having some overheating issues. I think I got a fan problem. I've been procrastinating on sending it out to HP to certainly go ahead and get it fixed. So I haven't moved. This isn't my real background, but I thought, like, hey, why not? I've always wanted to live in a place like this. So this is just a temporary green screen background. I'm actually in my bedroom at the moment. My girlfriend's dad wound up getting her a desktop. And maybe not the best internet signal here. It's pretty far from the modem, but we did just get a brand new device that helps extend the reach of the modem. So if for some reason there's some lag time there, you guys certainly know as of why. So I'm hoping to hopefully get my HP laptop sent out this week. I'm hoping to hopefully get it back within a couple of weeks to be back to normal in our office. But in the meantime, I'm going to be doing my best to have Hero Report back on Sundays for you guys. I know we've been kind of MIA for about 2 to 3 weeks. Stuart, Indy been holding down the fort, doing things solo. It is just myself today. So we'll see how this goes. Again, I am having some internet issues here, maybe not the strongest connection. So if there's a little bit of a delay in regards to things coming up or whatever the case may be, please go ahead and bear with me here. But it's fantastic to see you guys. It's been a minute. I've been missing you guys. In the meantime, I've been working heavily over on the TikTok page. I've been putting some brand new shorts up here on our YouTube channel also as often as I can. Same thing with our Facebook page. So I've tried to do my best to be active for you guys in other ways besides being here on A Plus Hero Report on the weekend. But I'm hoping with this sort of temporary setup, hopefully we will be back to normal or normal-ish as we go a little bit forward. So it's good to see you guys. If you are in the live chat with us today, do me a big favor, man. Hit that like button wherever you're watching us from. Hit the like button, share this video, let people know that we're currently live and we're back in business, baby. I love giving you guys some shout outs. Since it's just me solo dolo today, I'm gonna need you guys to interact with me, okay? So I need to know what you guys think about the topics that we talk about today, whether that be from Superman to Marvel, from Mortal Kombat to Captain Planet, whatever the case may be. I want to know your guys' thoughts in the live chat. I'll definitely bring you guys up so we can certainly discuss and talk some things. But let's get down to business, man. Enrique in the house saw the official teaser trailer for SpongeBob movie Search for SquarePants. It will arrive in December. Very nice. Okay. Perfect time for Christmas. Teaser trailer for Pixar's upcoming new animated Hoppers movie. And it will arrive in March 2025, while Toy Story will arrive in June. I haven't heard of Hoppers, but Maybe I will soon. Also, speaking of Toy Story, the official Pixar Facebook page just announced that the first computer animated film, Toy Story, is coming back in theaters in September for the 30th anniversary. Very cool. What else you guys saying? Sony's picture animation's first rated R movie, Fixed, which will be coming to Netflix. I hadn't even seen that trailer either. You letting me know about trailers I have never even seen before, Enrique. Um, I also saw the official second trailer for the upcoming Tron 3 titled Tron Ares, and it features we'll see new scenes and it'll arrive in theaters October 25th. Yeah, I did check out the Tron 3 Ares trailer. Not too bad. I'm kind of excited for the film, even though I'm not a really big like Tron guy. I didn't care for Tron Legacy very much. Maybe I need to do a rewatch now. But the trailers have looked flawless, man. They've looked really great, really, really great. He said, I saw behind the scenes footage and sneak peek clips of the upcoming Fantastic Four first steps. It will arrive this Friday. We're probably going to talk a little bit about that here in our honorable mentions. Shout out to Blossom in the house also. Appreciate you coming through, Blossom. We got Ram Jam in the house as always. Blossom says, since Captain Planet is part of the discussion, did you hear that Captain Planet is turning 35 this year? I did not know that, but they do have a brand new Captain Planet comic book series that I have been fascinated to try and get my hands on. None of the comic book stores, though, that I've gone to have carried it, but I do know there's a Captain Planet comic book out now. Also, finally, San Diego Comic-Con is just days away. That's right. It starts this week, doesn't it? Panels, Avatar, Last Airbender, 20th anniversary, Phineas and Ferb, King of the Hill, and more. Yeah, I forgot San Diego Comic-Con is this week. I'm gonna have to I don't know, I guess based off of just how well today's show goes, what the quality is, it'll be dependent on whether or not I do some live streams for San Diego Comic Con, or if I do like just because I'm off on Friday, but I got plans to see Fantastic Four that Friday night. I don't know what the rest of the family's plans are as of right now for the rest of the weekend, but I really wanted to focus on some San Diego Comic Con content. But we'll see if I can. We'll see if that happens or not. Blossom says Captain Planet. They have comics. They haven't done that since the show was um in that era. Yeah, I think they just started it. I think they maybe only like two or three see issues in. So you're probably not too far off if you want to try and find some Captain Planet comics. Ranger Power in the house. It's morphin' time. Good to see you. Look, guys. Also, I got some merch coming soon. This is one of the t-shirts that I wind up designing this past week, or maybe like last week or so. I got the A plus stamp of approval on both arms. I've got some different designs that I've been working on right now. I'm going through the company Fourth Wall. It's allowing me to produce any products that I certainly want with my logos on it. It'll also, when I'm ready to go public with it, it'll have like a website that you guys can go through if you want to, if you want some of our merchandise through our YouTube channel, probably also through our Facebook page as well. So I am working on some merchandise as of right now. I ordered this sample because I wanted to see what the t-shirt material was like, and man, this is like super soft and comfortable. It is a little bit on the thinner side, not like see-through thin, but it feels like it's a little bit on the thinner side. Really comfortable. I love it. I feel so comfortable in this thing. It's really soft. I am also going to get a different type of t-shirt as well, so not only this sort of texture but also a little bit more of a heavyweight sort of t-shirt texture if you guys prefer not something not so thin. So I am working on at least two different types of t-shirt material. May even get some hoodies in here, a denim jacket that I saw was pretty cool. So yeah, a lot of stuff certainly headed your guys' way here relatively soon. Says you have a nice house, man. I know, isn't it? That's where I've been the whole time. I've been moving. I had to go get my piano and everything, working on this fireplace and stuff. So yeah, man, appreciate you recognizing my my place. Yeah, my girlfriend was like, please don't show our bedroom in the background. I'm like, well, put those naughty toys away, girl. No, I'm just kidding. But so yeah, I had to pop this one up here. But guys, with that out of the way, man, let's get into the thick of things. Let's kick off with our first segment of the day. And we're going to hit up our honorable mentions portion of this show. Again, guys, I apologize if we have some connective issues, if the quality is not the best. I don't know what you guys are seeing on your side, so you're going to have to guide me as we go through this. Sometimes I even forget what my own honorable mentions were, but I'll try to remember some of them. Off the rip, Harry Potter, man, the television series. We've been getting a ton of casting announcements. I believe we had on our Facebook page announced who the new sort of Harry, Ron, and Hermione certainly were, but filming has officially begun for the television series. It's one of those exclusive first look photos as filming begins with the new kid that's going to be playing Harry Potter. Looks pretty good, man. Looks pretty good from a Harry Potter perspective. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to all come about. Stranger Things dropped a brand new not only a brand new poster, which looks fantastic, but also a brand new trailer. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to see it, again, all the news that we're talking about here is on our Facebook page. If you want to be caught up to date on a regular basis, our Facebook page is the way to certainly go. And then, if anything, we usually take topics from the Facebook page and talk about them here to wrap up your week. But the trailer for Stranger Things season 5 is up on the Facebook page, and it looks phenomenal. The only thing that I'm iffy about is the fact that this is going to be broken down into 3 volumes. That's right, 3 parts. Netflix is becoming more and more notorious for this, especially when it comes to like final seasons of shows. So volume 1 of Stranger Things seasons 5 will be dropping November 26th. I think that's like near Thanksgiving. Volume 2 is going to be dropping on Christmas. I don't know how many episodes that's going to be. And then the finale is going to be dropping New Year's Eve. So incredible timing. I can't remember when Stranger Things kicked off. Did it kick off during the holiday season? Somebody remind me when Stranger Things season 1 premiered. But I'm excited for this, man. I don't know how people feel about Stranger Things at this point in time, but outside of season 2, I feel like this show has not had a hiccup. I feel like season 3 it got better, season 4 it got even better, and I'm really looking forward to how they finish this off when it comes to season 5. So I know it's taken years and years of development to just get us to season 5, but there's like no bone in my body that feels like, oh man, I can't wait for this show to be done. Like I'm legit going to be sad when this season ends, because I feel like Stranger Things was like the kickoff to the concept of like binge watching a television show, or the kickoff to like streaming services at the time. It just felt like it was the beginning of something fresh, like something we hadn't seen before. And I feel like it still has that important meaning to me. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with season 5. Because we wind up getting the release of Superman. If you guys have not had the opportunity to see Superman yet, we will be talking about it here shortly. But Supergirl is on the way. Now that Superman has been released, we are about maybe a year away from Supergirl. Supergirl has officially wrapped filming also, so it's currently in post-production. Gives them a good year for the special effects to certainly be worked out as well. But we got our sort of a teaser in regards to a first look for Supergirl, and how Superman has used the hashtag look up. Supergirl says look out. And I'm really digging the vibe here with the long trench coat. Looks like she's definitely had a night of partying, to certainly say the least. This kind of almost feels like a little bit of like Shazam promo too. If you guys remember, he was like chilling, sipping on a drink or sipping on a soda or whatever the case may be. I don't think Millie Alcock's Supergirl is sipping on any type of water or soda at the moment. She looks like she's sipping on like a blue hurricane or something, like something to get her by, to say the least. But I like it. Like this, if this is our first look at Supergirl, you immediately sort of separate the two characters of Superman and Supergirl in the sense of these guys are not going to be anything alike. And if you have seen the Superman movie, they are nothing alike, with very good reason to certainly say the least. But this is a great way, I think, to certainly separate them. And I'm really eager to kind of see more of Millie Alcock, to be quite frank with you. Who else we got in the house with us today? My friends call me Joseph. Joseph, what's up, man? It's good to see you in here. Thank you so much for certainly coming through. The most talented man in the world is here as well. Yo, good to see you. Marky Parko in the house also. Look, guys, if you guys are all checking me out live over on Facebook, do me a favor. Hit that like button. I see 7 people watching us live. I need 7 likes, guys. Help me out here. It's good to be back. Thank you guys so much, man. I have missed you guys truly, truly, truly. Enrique says it's the new Supergirl movie. Is it a movie or is it a series? It's going to be a movie. It's going to be a movie starring Jason Momoa also as Lobo. So that should be a pretty fun one. And then last but not least, for honorable mentions there, I'm sure there's a couple other ones. But Fantastic Four, babies, in the news this week, simply because the movie is here this week. We've been waiting and waiting for Marvel to get its hands on the X-Men and Fantastic Four to see what they're going to be doing with this, the Marvel Comics first family, and that opportunity is here. And if I could be honest with you guys, I'm getting more and more excited by the day. This is coming from somebody who didn't mind the trailers, but I wasn't wowed by the trailers. But the final trailer did something to me. I see that we've had a couple of clips that have recently dropped for Fantastic Four also. One of them, which I think spoils a plot point in the movie, I wish they hadn't shown us. But after being spoiled by it, it now has heightened my level of anticipation for this movie. We've been getting the first reactions to Fantastic Four, which sound really promising. You guys know how I feel about first reactions, though I try not to absorb too much of them because it might heighten my expectations and then the movie may not deliver for me. But Fantastic Four, I got to ask you guys on from rating it 0 to 10, where is your excitement level for Fantastic Four right now? Mine's is at like an 8.5. It was at maybe like a 6.5, a 7. But after the clips and that last trailer wind up dropping, I'm starting to feel like this is gonna be one of those films that big on the family drama, the family dynamics for sure. I think the acting and the performances and their chemistry is really what's going to allow this movie to shine. And with this movie only coming in at like an hour and 55 minutes, it's got to be tight. It's got to be really well constructed. And I just hope that it allows some great time for there to be a really solid story to kind of play itself out the way that it needs to. There is this growing sense of the stakes being really big in this movie. I have a feeling like the weight of the world is very much going to be on our Fantastic Four here, while the people of Earth who have sort of celebrated them for such a long time now will maybe see this team in a different light, maybe question them a little bit, and really being dependent on the idea of like, can you save us, yes or no, sort of thing. And I'm really eager and fascinated to see what that showdown with Galactus is going to be like. And I think for me, the anticipation of the buildup to Galactus's arrival, I think is really going to be felt in this movie. I haven't had the opportunity to see it yet, but just from the stuff that I've seen from clips and from the trailers, I think this is going to be a really sort of powerful movie, honestly. And so I'm continuing to look more and more forward to this movie. But if you had to rate it from a 0 to 10, I want to know what your guys' level of anticipation is for the Fantastic Four. Because I think it's going to have a great box office weekend. Jurassic World, I think, has crossed like $600 million already. People continue to go out to see their dinosaurs. I think Superman this week just passed $400 million at the box office on its second weekend. I think you add that with Fantastic Four about to drop. I think all 3 of these movies in July are going to have really, really long legs in the sense of being in theaters for quite some time and just chewing up the box office. Like, I think how good Fantastic Four is, if it is good, oh God, I'm crossing my fingers. I think that's just going to be even more momentum builder for something like a Superman for people to see on their second or third viewing, or maybe even Jurassic World on their second or third viewing, sort of thing, too. I just think July, headed towards the end of July, maybe up until the middle of August, I think a lot of these movies are just going to be eating up the box office. So whoever comes out after Fantastic Four for the next 2 to 3 weeks, these movies may be eating into their box office. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Fantastic Four is certainly going to do. But I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts. All right. Appreciate you guys coming through for me today. I'm going to try and keep this under 3 hours if I can tonight. I do have a movie I plan on trying to see later on tonight called Eddington at 9:30. So we'll see how far we get into this. But guys, let's get into our main topics, shall we? As you guys saw here on the thumbnail, we got some incredible topics. Superman spoiler review for you guys. Johnny Cage is back. Carl Urban in the brand new Mortal Kombat trailer. Talk about that. We got some Captain Planet news, believe it or not, and a very impromptu news change. I was going to talk about another story, but Kevin Feige has just been opening his mouth left and right today. There's been like 3 or 4 articles talking about the future of the MCU. We're going to be diving into that instead today. But first up, we're going to get into some Superman talk, baby. Look, the movie has been out for a week officially now. How many times have you guys had the opportunity to see Superman? I have seen it twice. I will be trying to see it again for a third time, hopefully by tomorrow. Definitely again before I see Fantastic Four. But we're going to talk about Superman. We're going to talk about Superman. This is going to be my spoiler review. So, spoiler warning. If you guys have not had the opportunities to see Superman yet, please do yourselves a favor and come back in about like in half an hour or so. Because I want to talk with you guys about Superman. So, as I go through this, feel free to let me know your thoughts about Superman if you've seen it in the comment section or the live chat. I definitely want to discuss some things with you guys if you've seen it for yourself. But I just want to let you know this is going to be the spoiler section of the show where we talk about Superman, baby, the brand new film that just dropped. So yeah, guys, sound off in the live chat. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to talk about this movie for a while. I enjoyed this movie. I liked it. I had seen this movie the first time Thursday night when it dropped. Me and the girlfriend went. When I first watched it, I didn't know how I felt about the movie, to be quite honest with you, after I walked out of it. I knew that I enjoyed it, but I just kept thinking to myself, like, what is like, why am I not in love with this movie the way that I wanted to be? I was part of me thinking maybe I went into it with just really high expectations, and it didn't live up to those expectations for myself. So I told myself, I was like, you know what? Friday, I'm going to go see this movie again. I saw the movie again. I enjoyed it even more the second time around that I certainly watched it. But I still had, I think, the same issues with the movie that I did the first time around. But I think it's one of those films that the more you watch it, there's just so much more to walk away from really enjoying and loving about it. I really enjoy actually, let me put up this banner here. So I'm gonna put this in. Yeah, there we go. I really enjoyed the idea of being thrusted into this world. James Gunn talked about how the opening of this movie was going to be very Star Wars-esque in the sense of having sort of an opening scroll. And I really enjoyed that opening scroll. I almost kind of want every DC EU movie to certainly open with something like that. Um, but I think just because this is the fact that this is the beginning of the universe, you want to kind of get people caught up a little bit. I thought it was really clever too to stick with the number 3. And that's my cat in the background. If you guys can, I got so many animals here. Um, Starting off with the number three in the sense of like, what is it, 300 years ago we started out with the discovery of like metahumans on this planet. I think it said then 3 decades ago they talk about um Clark or Kal-El coming to Earth 3 years ago. Superman reveals himself, so he's clearly been a superhero for the past 3 years, and then even going down to like 3 weeks, 3 days, 3 hours, 3 minutes. Um, I really enjoyed that, and I think also it sets up the narrative here that this is very much a day in the life of Superman, and you're really finding Superman at the lowest point in his career, right? Because I think it says like three minutes ago he suffered his first defeat or something like that. So there is this like existential weight that's on Superman's shoulders kind of throughout this movie, right? Like not only has he had to deal with how people kind of view him or certainly changing the narrative around him to make people kind of view him as the enemy, or having terrible intentions, but he also has to deal with the idea like I literally just got my ass kicked for the first time, and now at the same time I have to like prove to people that I'm not what this propaganda is certainly saying about me, or just that idea that, well, I can't necessarily call it propaganda because the Jarrell stuff, um as off-putting I think at first that it was, I was like, oh, they're really making his parents like the villains here, like the bad guys about it. I didn't necessarily know how I felt about it when I first watched it, but it eventually kind of sat okay with me, because the idea of them Kryptonians being colonizers, I don't think is too far of a stretch. I mean, I think even Zack Snyder highlighted that a little bit when it comes to the Man of Steel. The idea of like Kryptonians literally going to other planets, trying to terraform, colonizing other planets, right? Trying to make their Kryptonian race and religion, whatever the case may be, like the prominent beginnings. Um, but we've always seen Jarrell in such a interesting light, and so that felt a little bit off-putting for me, mixed with the combination that I didn't really care for Bradley Cooper as Jarrell. It was one of those moments that I think kind of took me out of the film, to be honest with you. Sometimes I think having stars that are too big could maybe take away, like that's all I saw was Bradley Cooper. Like I didn't see Jarrell at all. And so it's hard for me to believe that that person is that person. But I really enjoyed Superman's journey in this movie. The idea of proving something to yourself that we don't necessarily need to fall in line with, becoming our parents or what our parents had have planned for us as far as what our future certainly would go, that we at the end of the day we make our own future, right? Like we have the willpower to be the type of people that we certainly want to be, regardless of who our parents may have had necessarily planned for us. And that journey for Clark in here to discover the idea of like, yes, this is the future that my parents had for me, and now it's being utilized against me. I just need people to understand like that's not my purpose here. That I'm just I'm completely different than that. And for him to be able to find himself and to stand up for himself and really proclaim the idea that he's just as human as we are, in the sense of he experiences these things. He gets hurt when people say things about him. Hashtag super shit, like things do get to him. Just because he's this invincible, nearly invincible alien doesn't mean that at the core of him, there isn't some level of humanity. And that's because he's had great parents to raise him. And I really appreciated too, the ending of this movie where, he's getting ready to, it's just the end of the movie. And the robots, talk about, oh, he loves this message from his parents, whereas this time it was literally his earth parents. And I think it just really goes to track in regards to his story from being so I don't want to say dependent so much, but clearly the idea of his parents voices soothing him, that connection to his past and his home planet, and then with all the revelations, just realizing, look, the people in my life that truly know me are the people that raised me. And if there's anybody that I should sort of like look to in regards to being like or taking the advice from, it's the people that have raised me for the past 30 years. And the fact that we start off with Jarrell and his family and then ending it with his real Kansas family, I thought was a really good sort of like full circle moment for Superman as a whole. So Superman's story, I was a fan of. I really liked all the characters in this movie. The only person that I think I personally had an issue, there are a couple people I had an issue with. Hawk Girl, just because I needed more Isabel Merced. Like I needed to see more of her, honestly. But I have a feeling that she's going to be in the Peacemaker series. I think they're going to flesh her out just a little bit more. But the entire Justice Gang for me, I love Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. Perfect casting. I honestly couldn't have asked for more. The true MVP of Superman was, in fact, Mr. Terrific, Eddie Gathegi. Like Eddie Gathegi in this performance alone put to shame just how terrible and mishandled his casting for um First Class, X-Men First Class certainly was. Like they dropped the ball on this guy, and I'm so glad that James Gunn was able to see like just how great this man is, because now I need me a Mr. Terrific television series. I need me a spin-off movie of this guy, whatever the case may be. Nicholas Holt as as Lex Luthor, out of this world, out of this world, really great performance. James Gunn cooked when it comes to incredible dialogue for a lot of these characters in here. The 1A, 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 like the monologue that he gives during that Superman battle is unbelievable. The man is unhinged. He's as diabolical as they come. The shots fired when he killed Malik Ali or whatever the guy's name was, like I did not see that. I did not see that coming. Um, yeah, the man is ruthless. The man is ruthless. Like this is a fantastic Lex Luthor. I'm so glad that they nailed this for him. I really enjoyed the Lois and Clark relationship, or Lois and Superman. I wanted to see a little bit more of that, to be quite frank with you. The conversation that they have in the apartment, not the interview, but the apartment when he flies in, and you see the battle going on in the background. A part of me is thinking to myself, like, bro, Superman would not just sit by and just let this monster or alien run amok. But I love the line where he's like, they've got that. That's just an interdimensional imp or something like that. Like to me, it just sets up the world beautifully in the sense that like Superman truly is not the only superhero. He's not the only capable superhero of being able to take on bigger threats. Like he's been in this for 3 years. Clearly, Superman realizes that this is not a threat that he can only take care of. Like they've got it. They've got it. But I do love that as they're talking, Lois constantly goes back to look out the window, and she's just thinking to herself, like I know she's thinking to herself, shouldn't you be shouldn't you be helping them right now? Like, are you sure they got this? Like they got it. They got it. Don't worry. But it's the line that he gives Lois before he leaves, in the sense of like, I gotta save crypto. And she's like, why? He's like, well, he's a dog, and he's not a very good dog at that, but I'm sure he feels like alone and needs help for some, in some way. Like that line alone solidified for me just the type of Superman that he was. Like it literally choked me up, because I was just like, damn, that's so cool that he feels this way about this dog. That regardless of how bad it may not even be his dog, but there's more to it than that. And when Lois grabs his arm, I had that same reactionary sense, in the sense of like, oh my God, you're the perfect Superman. Can I hug you for a minute? Like the line is so powerful. Um, and it like the same reaction that Lois had, I probably would have had the same. Like, before you go, Superman, I gotta hug you, bro, because you're such a good guy. You're such a good guy. But I absolutely love that line. Um, so yeah, there's some really great the action, incredible in here. When he's fighting against the engineer along with Ultraman, I love this shot where him and engineer are fighting and they fall to the ground, but he still has a hold of her, and he starts doing these fucking spins in the air, and as he's like using her as a weapon trying to hit Ultraman, but he misses sometimes and slams her into the ground and just keeps swinging her. I mean, it's brutal stuff, but it's so good. The great one tracking shot when he leaves the pocket dimension as it's ripping Metropolis apart. The fact that he flies up, you got Crypto taking off Homeboy's helmet. He punches the guy, teeth come out, and then he flies off, and then the camera's got to catch up to him, and as the camera's trying to catch up to him, you just see all the raptors around him like this big gigantic ball of a mess, and then he starts spinning them out, and then the camera finally catches up, and it comes into his close-up shot of his chest, and then it pulls out again, and then you get the heat vision scene that we've seen from the trailers before. I mean, incredible action, man. Incredible action, incredible directing from James Gunn in here. Um, Everybody really nailed it for me. If I had any complaints about this movie, um, one of the things that people said before um this movie happened, when we had all these characters, right, was like, man, this feels really like there's a lot of people. Like, is this movie even gonna feel like a Superman movie, right? Because there's so many moving pieces. And I said, don't worry, guys. Like, supporting characters, like this happens like all the time. Supporting characters. This movie has too many supporting characters. It just does. It just does. There's too many like moving pieces. Um, and it's one of those things where it's like I almost felt like there were other people in this movie that kind of outshined Superman in his own movie. Like, I don't even necessarily know if Superman he does have some of the better lines, but I feel like some of the more memorable moments can go towards other people, if that makes sense. It just seems like there was a lot going on in this movie and a lot of moving pieces when it comes to supporting cast. Like at the end of this movie, inside of Mr. Terrific ship, we've got Lois, we've got Jimmy, we've got Perry, we got Cat Grant, we got um Scott, and you got like some other person I've never even seen from the Daily Planet, like all scrunched in at the end celebrating. I'm like, who's that guy? Um, some of the humor for me doesn't necessarily hit all the time. Um, Sometimes I feel like this movie wanted to be a James Gunn movie, but then James Gunn realized I can't make this a James Gunn movie. It's got to be a Superman movie. So sometimes it feels like the movie isn't quite sure what it kind of wants to be at some point in time. While I really enjoyed the interview between Lois and Clark, I kind of wish it was cut a little bit shorter. And I almost think that this movie, structure wise, I think just from like a structure perspective, probably could have been tackled a different way. I personally would have loved like an extra 10-15 minutes to this movie. I didn't want this movie to end, but I think just 10 to 15 minutes to allow not only certain scenes to expand and really do some exposition, maybe even give some characters more time on screen. I would have loved to have seen more Lois and Clark, maybe more Clark also, or just Superman moments in this movie. While I really appreciated sort of the opening scroll that we or crawl that we talked about, um, you know, sometimes I think I don't necessarily know if I would have gone so far as to like 3 minutes, like the 3 weeks out where he interferes in the war or whatever case may be, that really starts, this snowball effect in regards to drama, and then the hammer of Bolivia, whatever his name is, winds up showing. Like, I kind of wanted to see some of that. I kind of wanted to see some of that showcase to me on screen instead of explained to me through this interview process of Lois Lois and Clark. It just felt like a lot of exposition that was being told to me instead of shown to me. And that's one aspect that I think would have been different had I been able to visually see what was kind of going on, maybe appreciate the plan of Lex Luthor kind of a little bit more than what it was. It just seems like there was a lot of moving pieces at times. And I think just structurally, the movie could have unfolded better to get those same points across for me personally. So while I had really enjoyable moments of this movie that I was a really big fan of, the structure, the lot of supporting characters in here feeling bloated at times, kind of took away from like great moments, great pieces, great characters, but when you put it all together, maybe not the most cohesive and forward, like straightforward kind of movie. That would have felt a little bit more comfortable for me as a movie going experience. But yeah, I think for me, it mostly comes down to the structure of the movie. Because again, it's not so much bad writing, because I think some of the great dialogue in here and great themes that are trying to come across really work for me. But sometimes coming together as a cohesive film doesn't necessarily feel that way, if that makes any sense. Um, Oh, we got Cena Nerd in the house. I'm assuming this is Will. What's up, Will? Good to see you. Maybe it's Sarah. I don't know. Krypton TV series played with it some as well. There is a Krypton TV series, isn't there? I think Indy used to reveal that Krypton television used to review that Krypton television series also, so it worked for me. Um, Cena says Gunn never misses when it comes to casting. Yeah, he really doesn't. He really doesn't. To me, to me, one of my favorite moments in this movie comes at the very end of this film, and it's the appearance of Millie Alcock as Supergirl. First off, I had never read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, so I didn't know like the personality traits of what to expect from Supergirl. So when she comes on scene, this is like completely in left field of what I anticipated or what I was expecting, and I loved it. I love this perspective of hers, this vision for her, being the person that James Gunn has been warning us, like she's a bit of a mess, like she's seen some things in her life, and I could, and so when he says she's seen some things in her life, and the first appearance of her is her like drunk off her ass, I immediately think to myself, like, yeah, I can. It makes complete sense. It makes complete sense that that's how she would handle the grief and just the terrible stuff that she's seen. But it just opens up a whole new world of like what her movie could potentially be now. And I'm just thinking to myself, I know the music's gonna be great. It's gonna be very punk rock, I'm sure. The her and Lobo together, her and Jason Momoa, I think are gonna be on-screen chemistry is going to be off the charts. It's going to be wild. I need a drinking contest between these two at some point in time at the bar, post-credit scene. I don't care what it is, but I need a drinking scene. But anyway, outside of that scene, there's a scene when she finally gets crypto back and they're rough housing. And there's just something cool to kind of see her as she's giggling, them roughhousing and crypto just slamming her into the into the ground and just cracking it wide open. I mean, it just, it not only builds their relationship, but it just shows the roughhousing, the strength of these three. Um, just like how unruly or where he gets his unruliness from, when it comes to crypto, at least it's just like, like owner like dog, or like dog like owner sort of thing. So it really just makes that much more sense. And I think also too, the idea that when you dive into this movie, I think you're supposed to be under the impression that the dog is Superman's, right? And he's like, it's like, how did he get stuck with this dog? And he's got like very little patience for the dog, Like, this is your dog, bro. Why do you have such little patience? But then at the end of the movie, when she shows up and you're like, oh snap, that's her dog. Like everything that this man goes through in this movie for that dog, and it's not even his. like that just gave me a whole new appreciation for Superman and Crypto's relationship in here, and the fact that he still wants to go, like, it's not even your dog, bro, and he still wants to go out and find him, hunts down Lex Luthor. Where's the dog? Like, oh, like, I don't know. It really adds layers, I think, to what David Corn Sweat was able to do as Superman. I unfortunately didn't like this movie as much as other people did, but that's not to say that I didn't enjoy this movie. I've seen it twice. I want to see a third time on IMAX 3D. I really want to. There are moments in this movie, like visually, that as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself, dude, this would look great in 3D. And if I can find it in any type of, I've seen it in Dolby and I've seen it in IMAX, and now I want to see it in the IMAX 3D because I feel like that might even heighten the comic booky sort of level of experience for me that I maybe didn't get in my first two showings. And I have a feeling like this is a movie that the more and more you watch it, the more it'll grow on you, and the issues that I have with it might continue to eventually like dwindle away for me. Right now, this movie is sitting at a B minus for me. I think grading wise, it came in as a B minus. But if I'm looking at that from a report card standard, not like a cinema scorecard or a Rotten Tomatoes card, if I'm sitting at like a B minus right now, that's like a low 80 for me. That's passing in my league. Like it's very much passing for me. Passing with needing improvements. But I had a blast with this movie. There was certain aspects to it. I had fun with it. I'm trying to think if there's other aspects of it that I didn't necessarily care for. The Jimmy, and this goes with the supporting characters I didn't necessarily really care too much about, along with some humor not hitting for me. The Jimmy Olsen and Tess Mocker stuff. Um, there are aspects that I thought were funny, but there's a moment in this movie. Um, there's a moment in this movie for me that really rubbed me the wrong way. And that's when Tessmacher goes back to Lex, right? And he gets mad at her and he throws like a pencil at her or something like that, and she runs away to go into the closet, and this is her revenge, right? She's gonna get Lex back. She's gonna call up Jimmy, send Jimmy the things that he needs. And as she's sitting in the closet and talking to Jimmy, Jimmy is trying to work her over in the sense of having her send the information over, but this is like a really traumatizing time for Eve. Like, she's clearly distraught. She's crying. She's in the dark in the closet. The close-up shot of her is very much like something out of like a horror movie, in the sense of you're expecting somebody to pop up in the background. Like, she's clearly in danger and she's terrified for her life. And yet when you cut back to Jimmy, he's kind of joking about it. The man's pumping his fist. He's just excited and stuff. And then when she's really in this moment of despair and she just wants to be loved and protected and says, all weekend can we hang out, sort of thing. And she's literally crying her tears out in a type of horrific way. There's this really long pause of Jimmy not wanting to kind of give in the sense that, like, bro, you're literally using this woman at the most inopportune time. And like, and then he's like, yeah, sure, right? Like, to add some levity and humor. And there's like really uncomfortable laughter in the movie theater during this scene, because I'm like, I don't know if I should laugh at how Jimmy's reacting to it, or if I should be horrified and really concerned about Eve here, in the sense of her risking her life, her being terrified and scared, and all she really wants is to be loved and accepted. And yet Jimmy is just completely using her in a very sort of vulnerable moment in her life. And I'm like, I don't know if that scene comes across the way that James Gunn thinks that it should. I just didn't find it funny. I found it more horrific and like cringeworthy, in the sense of like, bro, like, this is not the time to joke around, type of thing. So I don't know. I really would have loved to have seen Lois do more of that detective work. Clark maybe doing more of that detective work, where it felt like Eve was just giving them all the information that they needed. And look, maybe Eve is the true hero of the movie in that regards to helping bring him down. But it was just like Jimmy's never really been known for like his reporting, right? Like, so the fact that they gave the revelation of what Lex was up to Jimmy and Eve just felt a little bit odd to me. So I would have loved to have seen Lois actually do that working, be the one to kind of come to the conclusion for a lot of that stuff, honestly. But so yeah, not all of the movie works for me, but really enjoyable in regards to this. Like Superman, I think, is a great Superman movie. Like, if we're talking just like perspective of like a great Superman movie, it may be the best. It may be just under Christopher Reeve in that regards of being like an all-timer Superman movie. As far as it being a great sort of overall movie, and this might be a hot take, and this might be because I love this movie so much. I think Man of Steel does it better in the sense of being like the overall more coherent, put together sort of film. Like Superman, I think is the best Superman movie. I think movie overall, Man of Steel. But that's just me. I know that that's maybe a hot take. People know my love for Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel is a very underrated movie. I don't look at that as my vision for what Superman is, but it is of somebody's vision that I think from a storytelling perspective really comes well together as its own individual movie. Maybe not the best Superman movie, but a better movie overall, I think. But I'm cool if nobody agrees with that. I know there's a lot of people that freaking hate Man of Steel, so that's not a problem whatsoever. But I love David Corn as Superman. I think he is like my new Superman here. I hope we get the opportunity to stick around with him for a long period of time, whether that be in upcoming sequels, whether that be him showing up in cameos in other movies. I know James Gunn has talked about he does have Superman planned for other movies, that he is currently writing one, not per se a Superman sequel. Which I'm a little bit bummed about that. I'm like, bro, I need a sequel. Like, I don't need to see a Batman v Superman. I don't need a World's Finest. Although if James Gunn announced the World's Finest, I probably would be eating it up also. But I need David again as Superman. Like, I want to see a little bit more of him. And honestly, the Kents in here were golden. I love Ma Kent's accent in here. And Pa Kent. Look, I as a father myself, and I've said this before. Ever since I became a father, father son relationships, family relationships in general just hit me different. I've become such a sap when it comes to family dynamics and relationships to your kids and stuff. Like that shit makes me tear up. Like just the idea of Clark and his father sitting down together and just Clark absorbing everything his dad had to say and wind up embracing him. I think was just really sweet in general. And just that idea of like, your actions make you who you certainly are. And I'm really glad that we had that particular message. That kindness is very much the punk rock of societies these days because it's so out there, that the concept of kindness is so out there that it feels very much like the punk rock aspect of going against the grain. You know what I mean? But yeah, I do love the message that we wind up getting in here. Um, Screen and Cena Nerd says, I hear you on the Eve Jimmy stuff. Eve was low key MVP, just like she was in Superman 78. Um, he says, I hear on Man of Steel, I liked it, but never felt I had to watch it again over and over like I did for Superman 78 or 2025. I can understand that. I can understand that. See, for me, like Man of Steel is one of those movies I've seen countless times. And it's like every time that I watch it, I love it more and more and more. But I know it doesn't have that same replay of replay value as other people do. I mean, look, I'm about to be on my third viewing of Superman 2025 right now, right? So there are elements of this movie I'm a big fan of, and I need to go back and see kind of on the big screen again. So yeah, I'm excited to see it again for the third time. But it's one of those things too. Like I don't I try not to get myself caught up in the hype of things sometimes. Sometimes I need to sit with movies a couple of times before I truly embrace fully like my full enjoyment of it. And sometimes I go to a movie for the very first time and like how I feel about it is like boom, this is an incredible movie. Um but yeah, I think Superman is going to be one of those films. The more and more I watch it, very much like Man of Steel, where it's like the more and more I watch it, the more I know I'm going to have a better and better time. And when I saw it the second time, the moments that hit even a little bit harder for me. In the sense, I even though I knew that they were coming, those emotional punches really did work for me. Um, so yeah, we got a Hall of Justice also. Quick side note, a Hall of Justice, which is pretty cool. Looks like that was kind of under development still a little bit in that regards. Um Mr. Terrific for me, the action piece for Mr. Terrific was really badass. I'm so glad that James Gunn had the opportunity to uh to showcase him in that route. At first, when I saw Mr. Terrific and his approach to the character, I would, for some reason, I always get Robert Downey Jr. like Tropic Thunder vibes for a second within like the very first scene. But then once he starts talking more and more, and I see his mannerisms and I see how he interacts with people like Lois and things like that, he definitely becomes his own character. But I was always kind of curious as to like how he was gonna how he was gonna portray Mr. Terrific, and I can't get enough of him, man. Can't get enough of him. Arthur. Arthur says Supergirl looks like a foot. I don't know what that means, but okay, bro. Whatever. But enjoy the review. Gotta go. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts. How did you guys personally feel about Superman? I'd love to know how that movie went for you. Have you had the opportunity to see it? If so, how many times? What stands out to you the most? What did you love? What didn't you like about it? Heck, maybe this was a perfect 10 out of 10 for you when it comes to Superman. But I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts in the live chat down below. And with that out of the way, guys, let's move on to our next topic. You know what? I'm going to talk a little bit Mortal Kombat with you guys today. We'll probably get to Marvel right after this, but I want to talk some Mortal Kombat because, look, yeah, I was really unimpressed with the first Mortal Kombat movie that we wind up getting here a couple of years back over on HBO Max. Everything leading up to it really got me hyped for it. The worrisome part that I had though was I believe the movie was done by like a first time writer or like a first time director or maybe a combination of two, and it really showcased itself in the final product. And ever since the first Mortal Kombat dropped, we have known that they were going to give us a sequel for it. And I think one of the big first major announcements that we got for Mortal Kombat 2 was in fact Carl Urban coming on as Johnny Cage. I thought it was a really out of left field sort of casting choice for it. But I didn't know how to feel about the casting choice until this week. And for those of you who don't know, we got two teasers, I guess I should say, for Mortal Kombat 2. Not only did we get brand new character posters, but the day before the um the trailer dropped, we got a teaser trailer per se, or a teaser of one of Johnny Cage's movies, Uncaged Fury. Uh, it very much showcased itself in like a really poor quality, sort of like 1980s action movie or whatever the case may be. It was meant to be kind of hokey and kind of low grade, but it really establishes sort of like Johnny Cage's personality, the type of movies that he certainly makes also. But I loved it. So we got ourselves a tease before the trailer wind up dropping. And then this week, we wind up getting the first sort of official trailer for the movie. Here are some of the character posters that they wind up dropping also. Cole Young coming back. I think he was one of the main characters from the first one. He may be taking a little bit of a a, um, a step back for this sequel here, but some really cool really cool posters. But this is the man of the hour, Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. And I got to tell you, man, I watched the trailer again before we came on here. This trailer looks incredible. Like, while I have my bits of hesitation just because the trailers for the first Mortal Kombat sort of um overpromised, I guess you can say, from uh, what the actual quality of the film certainly was. I mean, there were good aspects to it. I like the Sub Zero and the Scorpion stuff to it, but outside of that, I didn't really care for it. This feels like a completely different type of movie. This feels like the budget is growing a little bit more. Special effects look really good, if you ask me, from this trailer alone. But I kind of dig Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. And while I'm sure there are people out there that says The Miz should have been Johnny Cage, maybe so. I think the benefit to having Carl Urban, though, is the fact that he's a veteran in this business that I think is more than capable of taking, like, a subpar script and making it better. And some of the lines that he delivers, the way that he responds to certain things in the trailers alone, I'm thinking, I think anybody can deliver those lines, but the way Carl Urban delivers those lines, I think he probably helps make the people around him that much better. Like, there is a benefit to having, like, veteran actors that are really good at what they do in the cast also, because I do believe that they help elevate other people's work. And I think even if this Mortal Kombat 2 script isn't that great, if there are elements to it that can be heightened to make it a more enjoyable movie, Carl Urban can do that. He can literally do any role that you ask him to certainly do. And I think he'll knock it out of the park. And I think in this role for him, for Johnny Cage, I think this is right up his alley of what he's capable of doing. And I think he's going to do a phenomenal job in here. So, I will be curious to see some of the action pieces. I mean, we see, like, he looks like he's going to have a pretty prevalent role in regards to the tournament and the fighting sequences. There are like two or three different people that I've seen him take on in this trailer alone. So he clearly advances pretty far in the tournament, or he just finds himself in the middle of stuff that he probably shouldn't be involved in the first place. The "it's showtime" line from him is great. The idea of them trying to recruit him for the tournament, and then he sees somebody get killed and he's like, F that, definitely made me laugh also. So I don't know, like, visually it looks great. We're going back to what Mortal Kombat should just always be, and that's very much like tournament based kind of fighting. And I think with Carl Urban helping elevate the script, this may end up being better than the first one. But I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. I'm going to hold off my expectations. I don't think, I'm not going to go into this movie expecting the world from it. But I do think picking Carl Urban up was a really smart move on their part, and I think one in which this movie will be benefited from. Even if we had our own fan casting as to who Johnny's like, they could have gotten the Miz, I'm sure, but how much better would the that have made the movie? Like, some people will say, "Oh, it would have made the movie a ton better because the Miz is Johnny Cage." Maybe you're right in that regards, but I think I would take Carl Urban over The Miz any day of the week, in the sense of giving them the script and seeing who could play that role better. Carl Urban would run circles around The Miz. I'm sorry, Miz. What was he in the Marines? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10? I don't even know, but uh you give the same script to somebody like a Carl Urban, he's going to run with it every time. So I do think he's going to bring us a version of Johnny, um, that is certainly needed for this movie, to help propel it to more favorable heights. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But from a trailer perspective, I'm locked in. I'm locked in. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next here. And with that out of the way, let's move on to our next topic. And that's going to be in regards to Kevin Feige's MCU update. This came out of nowhere today. I literally thought that I had all my plans ready to go in regards to stories that we were going to talk about here. And then I get like three or four articles pop up on my Twitter feed just talking about quotes that Kevin Feige said through, like, I think he spoke to Variety, Collider, and The Hollywood Reporter today, giving us some insight in regards to where we're going to go from here. Look, we have Fantastic Four right around the corner, and after Fantastic Four, the only thing we got lined up, I believe, is Avengers Doomsday. So Kevin Feige's doing his best. They're not going to be at San Diego Comic-Con this year either, if I'm not mistaken. So this is his opportunity to discuss some things. So I don't even know where to begin, but let's start with Collider, because he's talking a little bit to about Spider-Man. Let me pull this up here. He's talking a little bit about Spider-Man Brand New Day, which we're definitely looking forward to. But it says Feige says Spider-Man's Brand New Day marks the beginning of a proper Spider-Man era in the MCU, which is really interesting to me. Like, looking back on things, I really appreciated the idea that our first Spider-Man trilogy is really Spider-Man. I don't want to say coming of age, but it kind of is like an entire coming of age in a sense that he's faced off against an incredible rogues gallery. He's had the passing of somebody very close to him in his life, and he's sacrificed and given up so much to get to that point of, like, with great power comes great responsibility, embracing that and really sort of being in his own, like on his own, in his own life, his everyday life sort of thing. So it does feel like we have gotten Spider-Man finally up to the point in the comic books to a certain extent. But it looks like he's really going back to his roots here. He says, I think there's a promise at the end of No Way Home that, for as sad as it is that Peter is forgotten by everyone in his life, we are seeing for the first time in this story him being a proper Spider-Man, him being by himself, dedicated to saving the city and dealing with, for the lack of better terms, street level crime as opposed to world ending events. I'm so glad that we're getting back to the street level crime stuff, just because of the fact that we've had the multiverse saga for such a long time now. We've seen how the multiverse plays its role in No Way Home. A one-off multiverse story is all that I really need. We have been talking about, like, months leading up to this, the back and forth that Marvel Studios and Sony were having in regards to, should this be street level, should this be sort of multiversal, and it looks like they might have landed when it comes to street level here. Feige went on to explain why this new directions opens the door to characters we haven't seen Spider-Man interact with. He says, so when you do that, you say, okay, who are other street level characters that we've never seen him interact with? Of course, I love that the Punisher started in a Spider-Man comic, that great cover. Don't want to say too much, but Destin, I will say too much. Destin is doing an amazing job right now on that movie, which starts shooting very soon. He's got 8 or 9 comic covers up on his wall in his art department that he is bringing life in this movie, which is super cool. So when he says that classic Amazing Spider-Man cover where you got the Punisher with his eye on the scope, and on the cover it's like the scope, and you see Spider-Man falling. I need to see that in live action. Like, you can't have an iconic cover like that and not bring it to life. They did that a little bit for Spider-Man Homecoming, if you guys recall, when he has the battle with the Vulture and the Vulture leaves him sort of stuck under this huge pile of rubble, and he's about to drown or suffocate sort of thing, and he has the strength and he lifts it up off of him finally. Like, that's literally ripped out of page for page out of an Amazing Spider-Man comic book. So the fact that Destin has several comic book covers on his walls that he's finding inspiration for when it comes to making these covers in live action work, man, sign me up. Sign me up. I'm really excited for it. But yeah, I hope that going forward for, well, at least for the next couple of Spider-Man movies, I really want them to stick with the street level stuff. I really do. I think there's a lot of great Mr. Negative is in the picture, I'm sure. Tombstone we can bring into the picture if we wanted to. I don't know if they would ever do something like a chameleon. I still would be open for another version of a Doc Ock at some point in time. I think that would be fun. But yeah, he's got such a great, fantastic rogues gallery. I really want to see how this plays out if they continue to stick with him in the sense of being in a street level, if you will. Kevin Feige also talked a little bit about, let me see. This one's from Variety, talking about Marvel plans to recast the X-Men and eventually Tony Stark after Secret Wars, but reboot is a scary word, is what Kevin Feige says here. Let's see. In future films, however, X Men characters who appear in previous movies will be played by new actors, along with mutants making their big screen debut. The decision echoes changes in the composition following the 2015 Secret Wars storyline, which involves multiple timelines collapsing and reconverging, mixing up the characters of the main Marvel timeline in the process. He says, we're utilizing that story not just to round out the stories we've been telling post Endgame, just as importantly, you can look at the Secret Wars comics for where that takes you. It very, very much sets up for the future, is what Kevin Feige says. Endgame literally was about endings. Secret Wars is about beginnings. But Feige is also careful not to characterize the changes as a reboot. Instead, he says Secret Wars will serve as a reset for the MCU. Reboot is a scary word. Reboot can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Reset, singular timeline, we're thinking along those lines. Later, he added X-Men is where that will happen next. Feige noted that the X-Men comics, uh, with their focus on Xavier's School of Gifted Children, naturally centered on stories about adolescent characters. They have been a place to tell stories about young people who feel different and who feel other and who feel like they don't belong. That's the universal story of mutants, and that's where we're going. Even more intriguing, Feige also indicates that other Marvel characters will eventually be recast, including its most iconic roles like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. He pointed to many other major film franchises that have certainly done the same thing. So he talks about like James Bond recasting, the Superman recasting we just had with David Cornsweet. So he acknowledges the idea that, look, at some point in time, you're going to have to recast. He says, I think it's hard for anybody to do that when an actor has been done such a great role. How are they going to replace somebody like a Sean Connery who was James Bond, right? But they eventually did go on to do that. So it'll be interesting to see, like, when they get to that point of having to recast some of these people. I do appreciate him saying this is going to be more of a reset instead of a reboot. Um, After Secret Wars, I'm trying to think back to Secret Wars and where that led us in regards to Marvel Comics. Was that like the Marvel Now initiative after Secret Wars? I can't quite remember when people like Lady Thor wind up taking over. Sam Wilson as Captain America took over. Miss Marvel had a much bigger impact then. Um, they started using a lot more of their diverse lineup for their teams and stuff kind of going forward. But, look, reset could also mean something like, um, look, the two things that I would really look forward to and would love to challenge Marvel. I still really want an Age of Apocalypse storyline, and not like Age of Apocalypse in the sense of like what Oscar Isaac gave us, but it was kind of teased a little bit in Deadpool and Wolverine when we saw that Age of Apocalypse version of Wolverine. But I think a Secret Wars sort of like event afterwards would be really cool to kind of see Age of Apocalypse, even if that I was thinking to myself like a 2 or 3 kind of, X-Men related arc, just to kind of beginning, middle, and end and wrap it up, and then maybe you can have yourself sort of that reset that you want if you have to focus again on things like the Avengers or Fantastic Four. Like, a couple of resets that Marvel Comics has done before, Heroes Reborn, was a Marvel Comics reset that they sort of did right after the wake of Age of Apocalypse when the world was kind of brought back to normal, kind of modernized Captain America, Avengers, Fantastic Four, and things like that in that light. So you could go that route if you wanted to. I would even consider the idea of tapping into something like the Ultimates universe. I think that would be a really cool sort of resetting of things for the MCU, because if you are now looking to have to make things singular, um, all in one cohesive kind of timeline, um, after all the multiverse stuff, what is the MCU going to look like after Secret Wars? And I'm really fascinated in that perspective. So when he says things like reset, I do expect at that point in time new castings for a Tony Stark and a Steve Rogers, at that particular point in time. He does say something in here. He says, reboot is a scary word. Reboot can mean a lot of things. Reset, singular timeline. We're thinking along those lines. X-Men is where that will all happen. So it does make me feel like out of the gate, after Secret Wars, maybe that next movie is in fact going to be an X-Men movie, or maybe we focus a little bit more on X-Men films in that regards before we get back to a Marvel movie. I think there's a lot of like untitled Marvel Studios um, release dates that they haven't given titles to. I am kind of hoping that we get a string of like 2 or 3 X-Men related movies to kind of give some of the Marvel Universe characters the opportunity to breathe a little bit, before this reset officially happens. That's kind of why I would love to see Secret Wars lead into something like an Age of Apocalypse, even if that's like for a 2 or 3 movie stint, and then sort of reboot things for the MCU, or reset things for the MCU, and then kind of get us back into the scheme of like Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, have them kind of lead the way, Shang-Chi 2 sort of thing. So who knows? We'll see, just based off of what they do in the comic books, how that'll certainly relate to the movies. But they've got a lot of planning. They got a lot of planning, behind the scenes that it feels like they're currently doing right now. Um, and then last but not least, there was a Hollywood Reporter article that I wanted to highlight. This is a pretty long article. I don't know if we're going to go through all of it, but Kevin Feige talks scaling back, losing Kang, and his texts with James Gunn after Superman. Um, okay, he says, here's what the Hollywood Reporter learned. Yes, Feige knows Marvel made too many movies and shows. So this is where he talks about. He says from the first Iron Man 2008 through Endgame 2019, Marvel produced around 50 hours of screen storytelling. So what is that? 11 years, 10, 11 years. They did 50 hours of screen storytelling. In the 6 years since Endgame, the number jumped to an astounding 102 hours of movies and television, and 127 hours if you include animation. So they literally doubled that amount, almost double and a half, if you include animation, which is kind of crazy. It's too much, Feige says. He characterized the time period, as an era of experimentation, evolution, and unfortunately expansion. And while he's proud of the experimentation, he points to TV series like WandaVision and Loki as some of the best stories they've made. He admits it's the expansion that is certainly what devalued. It's easy, I think, in hindsight to look back and think to ourselves like this was a bad idea, Kevin. I said it from the beginning though. If I don't look, I've been doing this show for years now. Okay, and one of the things that I remember specifically when Kevin Feige and them announced the idea that, look, when it comes to television, we're stopping all production on the television stuff, and any TV stuff that we do now is all going to be MCU related. I was a big fan of the it's all connected prior to that. But I had one of the warnings I had for that was the idea that it was going to end up becoming too much homework. While the idea of expanding is always exciting. And I think they had every right to want to experiment and evolve and expand. I think the mindset is that of a smart one, and one that I can see why they would have went down that route. But I think it's easy in hindsight to look back on it and crap on Marvel for that particular decision. But at the time, it might have been the right one, but just executed, unfortunately, really poorly. He says it was a big company push and it doesn't take too much to push us to go. People have been asking for Miss Marvel for years and now we can do it. Do it. Oscar Isaac wants to be Moon Knight. Do it. So there was a mandate that we were put in the middle of, but we also thought it'd be fun to bring these to life. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. Marvel has already pulled back on the amount of movies and shows it would make. Some years may even only have one Marvel movie. Certainly, there will be years with only one TV show. Marvel has started grinding down on budgets, with movies costing up to a third cheaper than the films from 2022 and 2023. He says, here's why Thunderbolts failed. He says, the massive expansion into television and focus on Disney Plus led to the feeling that watching Marvel has become the type of homework. He says it's that expansion that I think led people to say, do I have to see all of these? It used to be fun, but now I have to know everything about all these. He says, and I think the Marvels hit it hardest, where people are like, okay, I recognize her from $1 billion movie, but who are those two? I guess they were in some TV show. I'll skip that. Dude, I said that same very thing when it comes to the Marvels, in the sense of like, you literally, where the Marvels failed is depending on your audience to have seen these people. Like, you literally have to do origin stories for these new characters in the Photon or Miss Marvel. When you introduce them into the movies, you have got to act like your audience has not seen these movies. And I think had Marvel's done that, it might have performed just a little bit better if there were some background kind of given to them. But even Feige recognizes the idea, like, if you didn't see the show, you probably decided to skip the movie because you didn't know who half these characters certainly were. He says this had an effect on Thunderbolts, which feature characters that some were seen on various platforms. He says some of them were still feeling the residual effects of that notion of, I guess I have seen these other shows to understand who this is. I think if you actually saw the movie, that wouldn't be the case. Thunderbolts, I don't necessarily think that was the case so much, but and we make the movie so that's not the case. But I think we still have to make sure audiences understand that, in the sense of like I think I think Captain America Brave New World also suffers from that, in the sense of you really had to have seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier to truly understand the impact of Isaiah Bradley or even Joaquin Torres. You literally just get thrusted into the idea like, who's this new Falcon? Nobody knows who this dude is, right? So I do think you are immediately closing yourself off for the general audience to want to jump into these movies or see all these new characters and feel like, oh man, I missed a whole ton. Why am I going to go see this movie if I haven't seen the television show yet? You know what I mean? So these movies probably benefit more once they're actually on the streaming service, because then these people could go back and check out the television series if they want to, and then dive into the movie after understanding them a little bit. When it comes to Thunderbolts, I think the only thing I'm trying to think if Thunderbolts, yeah, like John Walker, you don't know who John Walker is unless you've seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, truly. I'm not gonna put Hawkeye in that regards because I think if you've seen Black Widow in the movies, you'll understand enough about Yelena to not have that be an issue. Um, so maybe not so much Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts could maybe get away with it a little bit, with the exception of John Walker being in there. But the one thing that I will say about Feige, that awareness of understanding where you guys faltered and what you can do better, I think really goes a long way in regards to why this guy is the president of Marvel Studios. I'm glad that he gets it. I'm glad that he understands and is aware of it, and not somebody that just like puts up his blinders and just continues to do what they want to do. You know what I mean? And recognizes where things falter. Feige addresses Jonathan Majors for the first time without talking about Majors or naming him. Says Feige never mentions Majors by name, instead calling him Kang actor at one point, or the actor. He says Marvel was already preparing to pivot away from Kang before the Majors issue, which I think is kind of eye opening if you ask me. He says we had started even before what had happened to the actor happened. We had started to realize that Kang wasn't big enough, wasn't Thanos, and that there was only one character that could be that, because he was in the comics for decades and decades. Because of the Fox acquisition, we finally had it, and it was Doctor Doom. So we had started talking about Doctor Doom even before we officially pivoted from Kang. And in fact, I had started talking with Robert about his audacious idea before Ant-Man 3 even came out. It was a long plan that we had to take one of our greatest characters and utilize one of the greatest actors. I gotta call cap on that, bro. Like, I gotta call cap on that. I think that's bullshit. Like, when I've read this line before, and the more and more I read this, I gotta think that this is bullshit for several reasons. First off, well, I think it's either bullshit or this is a really bad look for Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios right now. Because to me, this is one or two things. One, you saw Ant-Man 3, and you thought that movie was a piece of shit. And you thought to yourself immediately in that moment, we need to pivot. We're going to have to do something different. You can't sit here, Kevin Feige, and tell me Kang wasn't big enough, that Kang wasn't Thanos. He is literally like top 3 Avenger level villains. Like, what are we talking here right now? Kang wasn't big enough. That's cap. Like, he knows that he's lying when he says something. He says something along those lines. I would have really respected him if he says, look, like, just where we were going script wise, we were trying to do too much. Things weren't coming together the way that we wanted to. And so we decided that we had to pivot. But to say that this was the long plan that we had, and it's like, this is really disrespectful, I think, even to Jonathan Majors. Because I bet $1 million Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios did not pick up that phone and tell Jonathan Majors, hey, man, we had really big plans for you, but we're not going to go that route anymore. Like, Jonathan Majors very, very much felt like he was under the impression he was going to be the main villain. I mean, they literally gave this man a movie, Kang Dynasty, before they changed things to Doomsday. So there clearly was a much bigger plan here for Kang. Doctor Doom may have ultimately have been the big plan for something like Secret Wars, which would make sense to me. But when you literally announce, hey, we got a movie of Kang Dynasty where Kang is literally going to be the main villain, you've been building up to this moment. You can't sit here and tell me, oh, the Doom stuff was planned all along, and we knew this even before Ant-Man 3. So you shot Ant-Man 3, you knew it was a piece of shit, and so to cover your ass, you went and picked up Robert Downey Jr. and called him without probably even speaking to Jonathan Majors about anything that was certainly going on. That's crazy to me. Like, that's a crazy admission to certainly have. So I think this is cap, honestly. Um I think this is cap. Ain't no way Kevin Feige truly believes what he just said here. Also, it says don't expect the live action Miles Morales anytime soon. It says many fans have been clamoring for MCU Miles Morales. Um, when asked where Marvel was in the development of a live action version of the character, Feige responds, "That is nowhere." And added that Morales' fate was in Sony's hands. Sony has this brilliant, genius, incredible Spider-Man verse animated franchise going on. And until that finishes, we've been told to stay away. Damn. They don't even want to give Feige control over Miles Morales. Look, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Miles Morales is ripe for like live action stuff. That's going to be a moneymaker when the time comes. Lord and Miller have done an incredible job in regards to carrying Miles Morales through this animated world, that when it is time for him to come into the live action world, Sony, the only thing that I ask of you, I beg of you, Sony, please move Lord and Miller over to your movie side of things. They should be running everything Spider-Man related at this point, not just animated, not just TV stuff as they're helming I think they're executive producers on Spider Noir. Lord and Miller need to be shepherding the Miles Morales live action stuff. That is going to be a moneymaker for Sony Pictures if done correctly. Although Sony has really done themselves a disservice by having atrocious live action Spider Man villain movies, it's going to be hard to kind of get the public people, like the general public's belief in Sony when it comes to Spider Man. But if you announce Lord and Miller doing a Spider Man or Miles Morales movie, or at least shepherding, being the creative controllers of that, people will come in droves. So I don't blame Sony not allowing Kevin Feige to really kind of play in that world a little bit, but it would have been pretty cool, honestly. Blade being sharpened again. What's the holdup with Blade? He says the obstacle was Ryan Coogler called and said, "We'd love some costumes for the Sinner." And we said, "Take them, man. He's our good friend. Take our costumes. We'll hold off on the movie," is what Feige says. Feige, of course, joking, connecting Sinners to a version of Blade that was recently developed, one that was set in a prohibition era, just like Coogler's original hit earlier this year. He did confirm that they had 4 takes of Blade that they've been developing over recent times, 2 that were period piece, 2 that were not. Marvel has now landed on modern day. And yes, Mahershala Ali is still attached to it. So yeah, they're still very much working on that. Um, Feige still lacks the flexibility of going into production without a set script. The Marvel method of movie making has included ever evolving scripts and heavy lifting in post production. Striking a contrarian position, James Gunn, after working at Marvel, has publicly stated that his DC movies won't begin a project until a locked script and a definite ending. Feige says Marvel has never started a movie. Kevin Feige says Marvel has never started a movie without a full script, but also adds that he's never been satisfied with the script the company had. "I've never been satisfied with the movie we've released." He's even added on top of that, what he and the company like to do is plussing at every turn. He says there's plussing happening every day on Avengers Doomsday set right now. It is amazing to watch because what those filmmakers and actors, both the ones that are playing these characters for the first or second time and the ones playing them for the 10th or 12th time, are the best in the world at it. And they know these characters so well. So they have an idea. You want to listen to it, you want to adjust to it, you want to improve it. I wouldn't want to change that. Stephen McFeely is writing the script, but Feige revealed that Loki creator Michael Waldron is also helping. Okay. Okay. So the script is still in development here. So Avengers Doomsday, while filming, okay? While filming, they are still working on the script. Look, this has worked for Marvel in the past, so I can understand why. Like, how Kevin Feige explains it makes sense, in the sense that if there's anybody that knows these characters well, it's the people that are playing them. And if they have something necessarily in the script that, when brought to the actor, if the actor seemingly feels like this is disjointed from how my character truly would react to it, or how my character, responds to something, to be able to have that connection with the writer and go back to him and say, hey, can we change this, maybe having that flexibility to make it work. I can see where that comes into play here. What's fascinating to me, though, is that there's also now an additional writer on board. First off, you've got the first off, you got the Russo brothers who are writing this. I am fascinated they didn't mention the Russo brothers in this interview, but the Russo brothers have also mentioned that they reached out to Stephen McFeely, who really cracked the door open for this movie to happen in the first place. Like, Stephen McFeely really helped them find that idea that made the most sense to them, where they felt comfortable enough, we can do this movie. So now that you've got the Russo brothers working on it, Stephen McFeely, who's come back again, this is 3 out of 4 actors or 4 writers that helped Infinity War and Endgame be the massive successes that they are. They couldn't get that fourth person back. But if you're going to install Michael Waldron in there as that fourth person, some of the best Marvel television was the Loki series. Loki season 1 and Loki season 2 especially is some of the best writing that we've certainly have had. And I've been a big fan of Michael Waldron's. I don't know if he was capable of helping save Ant-Man Quantumania with some of his help, but the fact that they still have him on board after his work on Loki is really promising. Promising in the sense that he'll help kind of bring all these storylines together that they've helped establish for such a brief period of time. But he's a really creative guy. He really has a sense of understanding how to work with the characters really well, I think. um and this gives me a little bit more confidence in regards to what Doomsday is certainly going to be like, and along with even Secret Wars. But man, there is just that nervousness of like, guys, we still haven't gotten this damn script done yet. So I am just hoping that by the time they get to wrapping filming up, while yes, it does give you some flexibility to change things on the fly, I really hope that it's on the fly for the benefit of the movie, and not really, um, yeah, not really taken away from it too much. So there's some uneasiness about it, that there's now an additional writer on board. It's like, are they going back over the stuff that was just written? Have they read this script entirely as to like what, like, it feels like there is a script in place, but like as they're filming, they're working on like the second or third draft of the script, maybe not even like the final script at the end of it. That's just too many moving pieces for me. But again, I've never worked on a movie before, so I don't necessarily know how it comes together like that. But when you've got somebody like a Kevin Feige, like the Russos, like the Stephen McFeely, who have done this type of writing before, like I'm sure when they did Infinity War and Endgame, I'm sure those scripts weren't done either. I'm sure they were probably working on the fly too, as production was underway. So I guess if there's anybody that knows how to make it work, it's theirs. My only concern is when you have been so adamant about, hey, after Captain America Brave New World, this is going to be sort of Marvel getting back to its roots and doing things the right way. And I think Thunderbolts was a great example of that. I think Fantastic Four will be an example of that also, in regards to really having a focus on the story and the characters and where you want to take it. I'm just hoping that that same love and care is being paid attention to for something like a Doomsday. But I think Michael Waldron, I don't think you can go wrong with having him on board. It just seems too chaotic for me, though. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in regards to some of the updates that we've gotten so far here from Marvel. What are you guys saying in here? Kiki and Lucas. What's up, Kiki and Lucas? Appreciate you guys certainly coming through. Honestly, as time has passed, I really didn't like Superman at all. The humor really took me out of the movie. My son didn't like it, and my wife said there is no story. She said that there was a battle, then a break, and then another battle with no story. And after I thought about it, there really is no story. I went to the Spider-Verse premiere with all the stars, and it was pretty fun. The movie was great too. Talking a little bit more about Spider-Man stuff. Yeah, I'll add to look at. You might have missed. I don't know if you missed me talking about it, Kiki or Lucas. One I gushed about the movie. There are aspects of this movie that I'm a really big fan of. I appreciate Superman's moral compass, his own personal story that he goes through in here. His love and care for that of like not only Lois but also Crypto. Um, Him trying to find himself, trying to prove who he is in the eyes of humanity instead of what his parents supposedly wanted him to kind of be. It's an interesting journey for me. So while I enjoyed the movie, um, but there are aspects of the movie where I think great characters, great moments, great dialogue here and there. You know, you would think after all those really good things, when you put the movie together, it would just flow cohesively. This movie doesn't flow cohesively for me. Like, one of my biggest feelings is that it's maybe over bloated a little bit with characters, a lot of exposition, of filling in information of things that we haven't seen that I wish they had shown instead of told us. It just feels like there's a lot going on in this movie, and it just feels really clunky and uneven at times. Like, this movie doesn't know if it wants to be a James Gunn movie or a Superman movie. It's trying to be both, but at times it just feels really kind of uneven to me. So as far as cohesiveness, this is not, to me, Superman was not a very easy flowing kind of movie. I think that has a lot to do with the structure. I mentioned also some of the humor hits, some of the humor doesn't hit for me personally. So while I enjoyed it, um it definitely didn't meet my expectations, and I don't necessarily think it's a great overall movie in general. I think I enjoy it as a Superman movie. I think it's a really good Superman movie, but as far as quality, just film in general, in those elements, it doesn't work for me. I'm sitting right now at like a B minus. I think actually, now that I think about it, I think I graded it a B minus. Like, I enjoyed it but needs improvement. But there are definitely flaws in this movie that are very glaring to me. But I think the love of the comic book aspect, the love of the characters, outweigh those things a little bit more for me. But I still gotta penalize this movie for um not being as cohesive as I personally would have liked it to have been. But look, I've seen people that say this is their best comic book movie ever. Kudos to them. I've seen some people say 9 out of 10. I wish I enjoyed that movie, but I do see people that have their fair share amount of issues with it and didn't like the film. And I feel like for the most part, everybody's pretty validated in feeling those type of ways about what they took away from the movie. Like, the complaints that I've heard seem valid. The people that have been really enjoyed it, the reasons why they have enjoyed it, I find really valid also. It's just, for me, it didn't necessarily come together as much as I wanted to. But this is, again, I enjoyed it for a certain. I clearly enjoyed it because I've seen it twice. I want to see it for a third time. So there are aspects of it that I really enjoyed and enjoyed seeing kind of on the big screen. But I don't, I don't, I don't debate anybody that really loved it or just didn't like it. Why Arc? What's up? Superman movie was serious movie and doesn't have a lot of humor. There is some humor in there that doesn't work for me. That's why I'm saying that sometimes it feels like it wants to be a serious Superman movie. Other times it feels like it wants to be a jokey James Gunn movie, and it can't be both. And it felt a little bit uneven to me at times. Um, when the humor lands, it lands for me. The Guy Gardner, Lois stuff really worked. I think the two jokes that didn't work for me was the Eve Tessmacher stuff and the Jimmy stuff. I didn't necessarily care about that. There was another one that didn't quite land for me, but there's some levels of humor, and it's not. I don't think I didn't find it over the top jokey comedy, um, but sometimes the humor just didn't land for me all the time. Um, let's move on to our next topic. This is an interesting one. Um, Captain Planet is in the news. I feel like we've talked about Captain Planet once or twice, in the sense that they were thinking about maybe doing a live action something. But now it's actually getting some traction here. I know that this was like in development at some point in time. I think the actor Glenn Powell talked about years ago, that he was in conversation about it, bring this to life, but there was like no momentum. I don't know if he's still connected to this project or not, but we do have an update in regards to the Captain Planet and the Planeteers, or the Captain Planet live action. Looks like a live action series. Um, let's bring this up here for you guys. This comes to us from deadline.com. Captain Planet live action series in the works at Netflix. We've got Greg Berlanti Productions set to go ahead and tackle this. It's exclusive. Captain Planet and the Planeteers' long-awaited live action adaptation is getting a big boost and a major twist in a competitive situation. Netflix has landed for development Captain Planet, a live action series based on the cult animated show. It hails from Greg Berlanti's Berlanti Productions, along with Leonardo DiCaprio's uh, Appian Way and Warner Brothers Television. Mrs. Davis, co-writer, executive producer Tara Hernandez, will be writing the adaptation of the 1990 environmental superhero animated series Captain Planet. I didn't know it ran on for 6 seasons. That's crazy. It says Appian Way previously spearheaded a live action movie, Captain Planet Take, originally set up at Paramount Pictures in 2016 with Glenn Powell co writing. The project never materialized, with the rights eventually reverting to Warner Brothers Discovery, though Powell had remained passionate about it. It says Berlanti is no stranger to the superhero genre. He built an expansive DC universe at the CW. This marks Berlanti's production's second high profile live action series, now joining the upcoming Scooby Doo Origins series. That's right. So, wow. Okay. Look, Greg Berlanti is hard at work here, man. Greg Berlanti has already gotten an order for the live action Scooby Doo series that he's going to be doing over at Netflix. Clearly, Netflix must be really pleased with what his vision is going to entail for Scooby Doo, to the point of now they're willing to give him a Captain Planet also. So Greg Berlanti is going to be hard at work here. I've really enjoyed Greg Berlanti's work that he's done for Netflix. Look, I don't care what anybody says. I was a big fan of the DC television stuff that he worked on the CW stuff. I know people laugh about like a CW budget, but I'm sorry, Greg Berlanti and Mark Guggenheim, I think, did one of the best depictions of the DC universe on any medium outside of comic books. I mean, the worlds, the characters that they created, the crossover events, just massive in scale for as long as we've had him. Coherent storylines, seasons that have been around 6, 7, 8, seasons worth sort of stuff. So the guy's got a great mind, I think, for things like this, for a Scooby Doo or a Captain Planet or anything superhero related. His production company, I think, fresh off of like the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, or something like that. That was a great series on Netflix for as long as it certainly ran. So I don't know how you bring Captain Planet to life outside of damn, who just did the spoof? um Captain Planet skits like a few years back. He plays War Machine now. Why am I blanking on his name? Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle had some hilarious Captain Planet skits back in the day. Really terrible production, but just funny to see Don Cheadle in like this blue face makeup with his attitude as Captain Planet. Great skits if you haven't had the opportunity to check it out. But I am fascinated to see how they bring Captain Planet to life. Earth, fire, wind, water, hot. Go planet. Yo, I can't wait. I'm excited to see what they do with it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, bring on more of the 80s, 90s stuff. I'm here for it, man. Blossom says, I really thought that project for Captain Planet was scrapped. It's almost been 35 years. I'm sort of unsure about the live action though. I myself am a fan of the Planeteers. All I can say is I hope for the live action series made sure that they did their homework for this series. I hope they did their homework for this series also. This is very much going to be an environmentally friendly show. Like I legit like if they're going to film, I want them to literally, I want Netflix to literally go out of their way to make this like one of the cleanest productions that they can use. Like if you can use things that can be reused, recycled, putting as little pollutants into the air as possible. I want Netflix to take like go out of their way purposefully to make this live action as green of a production as they can to be true to the concept of Captain Planet and the Planeteers. I need them to go that far. I really do. Ram Jim says the animated show of Captain Planet had a good cast. Ram Jim says, yeah, I love that show. She says, I do. Blossom says, I do make props for the Planeteer rings. If you guys want one, I'm the lady for the job. Oh, that kind of reminds me of like years ago when they had the Green Lantern Blackest Night storyline, and we started getting all these different color spectrums and like their abilities and their feelings and stuff that they were associated with. If you went to a local comic book store, they would have like jars of like just Green Lantern rings, Red Lantern rings, Blue Lantern rings for like 25 cents or whatever the case may be that you can add. That's what that reminds me of, Blossom. The idea that you've made Planeteer rings, I would definitely take one for sure. Um, Ram Jim says, introduce Captain Pollution. I will say this for them bringing back, we need them now more than we've needed them before. Their powers may not be real, but their environment stitches are. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. I'm fascinated to see this come to life. So they had plans for a feature film. They didn't get it done in time. Rights reverted back to Warner Brothers Discovery. Big bidding war. Netflix picks it up, and they're going to go the route of action series or live action series instead of film. So we'll see how it goes. Another property that's making its way back these days, surprisingly, is that of Judge Dredd. As we focus on that as our next storyline here, we've got Judge Dredd back in the news with one of the most unlikely directors set to go ahead and tackle this character. And I'm not going to lie, when I heard this news, I definitely became a little bit concerned as to like, where are we going with this, guys? Because while I am a big fan of this gentleman's work, I really have no idea how he's going to tackle this character, what his vision is going to be like. And that's going to be Taika Waititi. That's right. Taika Waititi back in the news, tackling Judge Dredd movie in hot package, hitting Hollywood. This is an exclusive report here. I still got the taste of Thor: Love and Thunder in my mouth, honestly. When I think of Taika Waititi's name, that's the first thing that comes to mind these days, which is unfortunate. Even though this guy has the ability to make a vast range of different types of films. It's just unfortunate that I think Love and Thunder might have stained his name a little bit or gotten people a little bit worried. But to be fair, I don't believe he's writing this. I believe he's just directing it. But let's find out here. Though Judge Dredd, Taika Waititi, those two names had studio heads and executives sitting up this week as one of the hottest packages of the year hits the Hollywood marketplace. Waititi for Thor Ragnarok, which was great, and Jojo Rabbit, another great movie. I love the fact that they didn't even add Love and Thunder to this, is attached to direct a new feature film take on Dredd, the popular and violent British comic book character. Drew Pearce, the scribe known for his action movie filled resume, thanks to titles such as Fall Guy, enjoyable movie, I enjoyed that, and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, another good one, is attached to write the script. Okay, so we've got a writer that's not Taika Waititi. Sources say Pierce and Waititi both grew up with the books and are friends who have been trying to find a project to work together on for years. Okay. The character was given a glossy Hollywood treatment back in 95 with Sylvester Stallone. We just talked about Carl Urban. He also played Dredd back in 2012 with a script from Alex Garland. That was a great movie, honestly. The desire is to see the movie launch a Dredd universe that could be explored with additional movies and shows across various platforms. Okay. You got me, Hollywood Reporter. I'm coming around to this project a little bit more now. I'm coming around to it a little bit more. Um, Two reasons specifically. Well, three reasons. One, Drew Pearce is the writer on this. Taika Waititi is not writing this, so we do have a writer on board that's not Taika. Although I guess number two was going to be, I love the fact that they both know each other, and have been friends with each other, have been wanting to find a project to work on. So there is some of that level of like, um, how each other works, that you probably help benefit each other. Like I'll go back to like Skeleton Crew on Disney, right? Like you had the showrunners, but the showrunners wind up reaching out to directors that they were friends with, that they knew that they would mesh and mold and create really well with, right? Like knew what the other person was going to do, and that in turn benefited them and made a really great quality because these two knew each other as well as they do. That could be the case here between Taika Waititi along with Drew Pearce, in the sense that they know each other so well that both of those strengths will work really well together. Um, this does almost hinder my number one point that I was excited about. Maybe Waititi might have some say in what the script is, but also point three, they are clearly big Judge Dredd fans. I had no idea that Taika Waititi actually read this comic book or collected this comic book in his time. So if he knows and understands the character that well, along with Drew Pearce, maybe they can actually find a really great balance of that Waititi humor, but also the great sensibilities, the great action that's called for when it comes to Drew Pearce and his writing, but also find some great moments of not levity, but balance of emotions, that we've seen Watiti be able to tap into when it comes to things like Jojo Rabbit, or even that of Ragnarok. His Jojo Rabbit movie was fantastic. So I don't know. Taika Waititi, Judge Dredd, from first looks, I'm like, yikes. But the more I dig into this article, they are convincing me a little bit more here. Maybe I should give Taika Waititi a chance, at least until I see the first trailer for Judge Dredd, and make a real judgment then. But I don't blame anybody if they're a little bit uncertain about this combination, to be quite frank with you. But I like everything else that I'm hearing in this series. But look, I for one am somebody that wanted a sequel to Dread. I thought what Carl Urban did with that movie was fantastic. He didn't take the helmet off once, if I recall correctly. Um, and I just love that tone and the pacing of that movie. I really would have loved to have seen a sequel to that, one that we unfortunately will never get. But to want to, oh, look, I will say I don't know too much about Judge Dredd, outside of the movies. I believe he had a long running, I think, was it Vertigo or Dark Horse comic? I can't remember what company it was for. I never read the comic books myself personally. So when they talk about the idea of a Dredd universe, that I don't know about. I'm just kind of curious as to like where would you go with the Judge Dredd universe? What kind of compelling characters are there to even want to give spin-offs to or to create movie television series, out of that universe? I don't know. I'll have to do some homework in that regards. But let me know your guys' thoughts on the possibility of a Taika Waititi led Judge Dredd movie. Love to know your guys' thoughts. Global Nerds podcast reposted this stream. Thank you, Global Nerds. I appreciate you coming through, man, letting people know that we were currently live right now. So thank you about that. Also, it looks like we got 5 people live over on our YouTube page. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to hit that like button yet, please hit that like button, guys. It definitely does go a long way for sure. Hit that like button, share these videos, take clips out of this video if you want to. Clip my hot take of Man of Steel being still a great film. Let me know. I don't know. What else do we have here? I'll tap this one real quick just before we get into some live viewer questions here. Close this down. We do have some news and some development in regards to the Legend of Zelda. That's right, man. Legends of Zelda is happening. It's taken years for Shigeru Miyamoto and Nintendo to pull the trigger on adapting a lot of their amazing characters into live action or even animated films. We saw the success of the Super Mario Brothers movie. I think that movie was like $1 billion, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But Nintendo has done their fair share of protecting these characters and not allowing just anybody to adapt these characters whatsoever. But after all these years, The Legend of Zelda is in fact happening with Sony Pictures involved. And we do have ourselves an update as this is truly getting ready to happen, guys. I think we should all mentally prepare ourselves for this actually becoming a thing because this week we did get some casting announcements here. Nintendo confirms actors set to play Link and Zelda in the live action Legends of Zelda film. It looks like they have already cast this film. Nintendo has confirmed that the lead actors for its upcoming live action Zelda film. Zelda will be played by Bo Bragison and Link by Benjamin Avon Ainsworth. Bo Bragginson. She's an English actress. Let's see what she looks like. I'm not too familiar with her. Let's pull up some images here. We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this, but I just want to see. So we got Bo Bragginson. It looks like she's going to be the one playing Zelda. Okay, I can kind of see the Zelda look. All right, I can kind of go for that as Zelda. So she's going to be Zelda. This is Bo Bragison will be playing Zelda, and Link is going to be played by Benjamin Ainsworth. Let's see, Benjamin Ainsworth. There we go. Okay, I can kind of see like Nintendo Wii's Link here. I kind of see it. The blue eyes, the nice hair, a little kid, you know. I can see that as a Link look. So yeah, that's our Link. So let's go back to the article here. So Bo Bragginson and Benjamin Ainsworth. The casting was announced on social media today in a statement from Nintendo legend Shigeru Miyamoto, who said he was very much looking forward to seeing the pair in the series' iconic roles. He's wrote, "I am pleased to announce." Okay, okay. That's what he said. The film is scheduled to be released May 7th, 2027. Thanks for your patience. Do either of them look familiar? We rounded up where else you might have seen these actors in the past in our deeper dive. So Bragison 21 previously appeared in a Netflix fantasy adventure series Renegade Nell. So if you want to look up Bo Bragginson, who's going to be playing Zelda, she's in the Netflix series Renegade Nell, as well as the BBC crime drama adaptation The Jetty. The Jetty. Ainsworth, Benjamin Ainsworth is younger. He's 16. Has only a handful of roles to his name, though notably appeared in the Netflix horror series The Haunting of Bly Manor. I've seen that before. Maybe if he's 16 now, he had to be what, like 13, maybe 12 back then. I don't remember when Haunting of Bly Manor came out, but maybe I'll have to go back and check out both their work here. I'm not too familiar with them, but when you cast Zelda and Link, uh, we're headed for Showtime here. We're headed for Showtime here. This movie still has 2 years away. Um, so, look, I'm gonna tell you, like this movie is still 2 years away. May 7th, less than 2 years away. You got casting underway. You've casted the two big pieces. I'm kind of curious as to when they're going to go into production for this movie. Because if they can go into this production relatively soon, or at least by the end of the year, um, I just got to give them really a great amount of time for like the special effects and VFX work, especially if we're talking about a big fantastical world here filled with creatures and adventures. You want to give, your animatronics people, your costume people, creature design people, like all the time that they need to really flesh out kind of this world that we're going to be diving into. And if you're Nintendo, when you spent such a long time holding on to these properties, when you are ready to release them out into the wild to actually be made and to be adapted from, I'm sure they're probably being very meticulous and going over every aspect of production to make sure that it's just right, because you need to get this movie right just for the sake of the franchise and the name of these characters here. So I like the timing that they have here. It feels like they didn't announce anything until they were pretty sure about where they were going with this movie and have clearly worked on it for a really long period of time. So to me, this shows a lot of attention and care that Nintendo was giving Legends of Zelda with just under 2 years to go, and they already have their main cast. I think that's really great timing here, honestly. Marshall says, don't forget that the Legend of Zelda movie has AV Arad attached to it, who is responsible for Sony's Spider-Man-less universe. This is true, but I feel like I trust Shigeru Miyamoto a little bit more in regards to taking care of his property. You know, I, Shigeru doesn't seem the type that's just going to hand over a property to somebody, especially with as big of a name as Nintendo is, to do half-ass or to do mediocre. So I'm kind of hoping that because it's not just AV, but it's also Miyamoto attached, that it won't be that disappointing. He says also bring back Stewart. Damn, am I just I've been gone for a month, bro, and you're like bring back Stewart? Damn, bro, like you didn't even want me on my own show. Like I didn't try to bring Stewart on board. Like he just couldn't make it today, man. He just couldn't make it today. Don't even want me on my own damn show, Marcelino. That's fucked up. I've been gone for like 4 weeks. No welcome back, bro. No, bring back Stewart. Damn, that's rude, bro. That's rude. Which underrated Superman villain do you think should be the main villain in the sequel? I want to see Parasite, Live Wire, or Silver Banshee. Lex Luthor fatigue is real. I would love Live Wire or Parasite. I think those two would be great. Yeah, let's go that route. I would be down for a Metallo in some way, shape, or form. Metallo, Parasite, Live Wire. I would love to see any of those three. I'm kind of under the impression after what happened with Ultraman in here, it wouldn't be far fetched if he eventually comes back as like a Bizarro. Like I could see him coming back again, surviving what happened in the black hole. Um and eventually finding his way like the black hole in a pocket universe. Like I would love to have seen that transform that version of Ultraman into a Bizarro, and eventually him come back for, like, if not the second film, then maybe at some point in time the third film. But yeah, I like the idea of Parasite and Livewire for sure. All right, guys. Oh, you know what? Give me a second here. I was gonna try and bring up live viewer questions, and then I remembered that I'm on my girlfriend's computer, so the I gotta like log into this damn thing. Oh shit, show password. And I'm just thinking, do I still have the password right? If not, I can try and bring it up elsewhere. Okay, I'm gonna try this one more time. Damn, bro. I don't even remember my own fucking password. Forgot password. Oh man, what? Oh well, I couldn't sign in there. Damn it. I thought this was supposed to come to my phone when I needed to sign in, but I guess not. Like for the recovery of it, Nerds of the Multiverse, or is it the Nerds of the Multiverse? Maybe that's what it was. Tell me why I can't even remember my own damn password, bro. Ah, there we go. I think I made it. Yes, there we go. Tap yes on your phone or tablet. Damn, it didn't. Come on, man. Try another way. Damn, bro. What? I don't even know what code, like what phone number are they using? I thought that was mine, but tap on your phone or tablet. All right, it's not gonna let me pull up for some reason. So, what I am going to end up doing. All right, when I get back to my other computer, I'm gonna all right, I'm gonna have to just pull up. I'm not gonna be able to pull the questions up on the screen. Oh, yes, that's me. Damn, this thing took forever to come through. Now they wants to come through and tell me that's them. What the fuck, bro? What the fuck? Like how the the confirmation was insane. It took forever. It's like a good 3 minutes later, bro. Like what? What are we talking about here? That is the correct password, my guy. What are we doing? Okay. This is just some bullshit, bro. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not even gonna try and do this anymore. Okay. Let me go use my phone. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the posts here, the questions and stuff. So I'll be reading off my phone. Um, I don't know what order this is gonna be in, but let's go ahead and get off to our next segment.
And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to get off to our live viewer questions. So if you don't know, every weekend, Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, we will post live viewer question post over on our YouTube page. Just go over to our YouTube channel, click on the post tab, and you will in fact find a live viewer question post. Marcelino says, I hear some people say that Lex Luthor was in the right and that he is misunderstood. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. Yeah, I just think that makes people assholes. I'm like, I don't necessarily understand if Lex Luthor is right per se, or like that he has a motive that I think people can understand his motives, but not the fact that his motives were right. Like the idea of like having worked your whole entire life to be so smart and so genius and accomplish certainly so many things, and maybe even to a certain extent him creating things that have really helped benefit the world, right? To be this person who's so well recognized and looked up, I don't, well, honestly, I don't know how, if Lex Luthor was looked up to or not, but to be able to create something, right? um for only all of that, all the effort that you've put into, then be overlooked and shadowed by this godlike creature who Lex Luthor feels some type of way about, that he's not even human and you guys worship him. And yet here I am, this guy who is human, and I've pushed myself to like the peak of like just genius or strength or whatever the case may be, only to be overshadowed that by that, and have that hatred for that one man is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. So no, I don't think Lex Luthor was right at all. If anything, it's the most narcissistic sort of mentality from ever happening. And if anybody believes that Lex Luthor was right, um, I think we can kind of figure out what type of person that person is. Blossom says, by the way, how's your son? He's doing good. We've been doing some potty training with him. He's really coming along. He makes his mistakes here from time to time, but I've been really hella impressed by my son in regards to like how his potty training is really going. I've been really impressed. He's just growing up, man. He's right before my eyes. It's pretty gnarly. Jessica Friedman, do you think we'll get a sequel to Superman movie? And who would you like to see cast as Captain Planet reboot? And maybe we could see cameos for the original voice cast for the OG series. I can see cameos of the for the original voice cast in some way for the series itself, even if it's small. I could see them popping up in here. I hope so. It's Greg Berlanti. I think he would be open to that type of stuff. Casting for Netflix's Captain Planet. I mean, I'm still down for Glenn Powell if he wants to go the route of a series instead of a feature film. I haven't really thought about casting for Captain Planet. I might have to get back to you on that one, Jessica. Do you think we'll get a sequel to Superman? I think we will in time. Um, James Gunn has said he is working on another project that includes Superman. It's not a sequel per se. Um, some people have hinted or theorized maybe like Superman versus the Authority, maybe the Authority movie. Maybe he has finally found a way into that and he's working on it full time now. I know he was saying he was having some struggle or that it was on the back burner for now, but maybe now that Superman is released, maybe he's had more time to sit with it. I do want a direct sequel to Superman. Like that was the downfall to Henry Cavill in the sense of we got him in other great things, but the only thing that people wanted was a sequel. And it's like, no, but you can have him here, 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 here. So I do hope that a sequel eventually comes because I'm tired of like getting a Superman movie. I'm tired of getting a Superman movie and never getting a sequel. So I do think it'll come, but in time. Marcelino, when it comes to the Lantern show, it's mostly comprised of original characters who don't exist in the comics. However, there's a rumor that might change. The rumor says that they're just aliases to cover identities of major characters from the comics, so comic readers who don't know what to expect. I have heard in an interview that there are characters that we know from the comic books in this series. So you might be onto something in the sense that maybe they've been given different names to hide who they are. But I am under the impression that some of the characters that we're going to be getting are from the comic books in here. This started with Garrett Dillahunt posting on Instagram a fan art of him as Green Arrow and the caption saying Ollie Oxenfree as a publicity stunt. This has spawned countless theories for the rest of the cast. I don't think he's going to be playing Oliver though. I have a feeling, or Ollie. I have a feeling Garrett is somebody else entirely because he's like the sheriff, I think, isn't he? I thought he was like the sheriff or some public figure in that town. Maybe I'm tripping though. Paul Ben Victor is set as an alien named Anatin, seeks to the truth and exacting vengeance against those who wronged his people. There's no alien named that, but does perfectly match. Atrocitus, the leader of the Red Lanterns. Porna, yeah, is set to play Zoe, who will be John's love interest. People think she might play Green Lantern Katma Tui, who is John's love interest in the comics, possibly. Chris Coy is set to play Wellion Sanders, whose real name is unknown and unbound by the laws of nature. Some people think that he may be the Spectre or the Phantom Stranger. Many DCs are hoping this rumor is true and there are characters from the comics because the show will be populated with DC characters and they don't like it when DC shows are filled with original characters because it shows the unwillingness to dive into the source material. But do you want this rumor to be true? Oh yeah, absolutely. Um I mean I'm under the impression that there will be characters in here from the comic books. I don't mind the inclusion of one or two original characters in here. Um I know they're introducing like the parents for John Stewart along with Hal Jordan also. I don't know if they've had any influence in the comic books also. So I don't mind original characters in a television series, but I feel comfortable enough to say that from the interviews that I've read or I've seen, um, they very much are tapping into comic lore and comic book characters that we've seen from them. So I think the rumors are true, though. It would not surprise me, especially coming from like Damon Lindelof, who likes to do things secretly in secret when it comes to producing movies or television series. It would not surprise me if some of these names are fake in order to hide their true intentions. There are rumors about the DCU cooking up a Huntress movie that will be Korean. Other rumors suggest that Palm Clementif is in talks for the role and the director of The Villainous. might direct it. Now, obviously, there's no way of telling if these are fake or not currently. But regardless, what are your thoughts on these rumors? I would be open to it as long as look, if it's a Korean production, I don't care as long as it's accessible for me to watch. Like, as long as HBO Max is gonna produce it and put it on a streaming service, or if it's a full fledged movie that's gonna be brought over, if I gotta watch it in subtitles, like I'm cool with that. Like I'm cool with that. I'm not too familiar with Huntress as a character, or if she's even Korean, but I like Plum as an actress and just as a person, so I would be open to it. I would be open to it. Charlize Theron said that once the Old Guard 2 is completed, she will then shift her attention to making a sequel for Atomic Blonde. Now that the Old Guard 2 is finally out, will we begin Atomic Blonde 2 after almost 10 years? I think so. I just have I think that this is part. That was my cat head. Sorry, guys. I just think there's this thing in Hollywood where they like to revisit characters after such a long period of time. And with John Wick in and out per se. We just got the ballerina. So why not? Why not make an Atomic Blonde too? Is there a way that we can like converge both Atomic Blonde and John Wick into the same universe? Is that possible? Maybe do an Atomic Blonde 2, its own individual movie, and then maybe like a post credit scene. She comes across or runs across Eve from Ballerina. I don't know. But yeah, I would say yes to Atomic Blonde 2. I think it'll happen. AJ, Rangers of the Morphing Grid, or AJ, the Morphin Grid, says Rangers of Two Worlds. The Power Rangers Zeo two-parter, Rangers of Two Worlds, brought an interesting mix of comedic monster battles and more serious character-driven plot, while the Machine's Cog Changer and Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa's pure Purse Monster provided classic Ranger action, including the clash between the stolen Zeo Megazord and Super Zeo Megazord. The emotional core of the episodes revolved around Billy Cranston. Having stepped down as the Blue Ranger at the beginning of Zeo to assist in the power chamber, Billy was now facing rapid aging and delayed side effects of his regenerator device used after Master Val's Orb of Dune had de-aged the Rangers. Attempts by the alien Rangers of Aquitar to cure him with special water failed, leading to Billy's departure to Aquitar for long-term treatment. A distorted video message later confirmed his recovery, but also his decision to remain on Aquitar. The storyline served as a precursor to future Ranger team ups, with the first official crossover being To the 10th Power in Lost Galaxy. Billy's accelerated aging storyline in Power Rangers Zeo was a narrative device to explain the departure of actor David Yost. Yost later revealed his exit was due to behind the scenes sexual harassment he experienced decades later. Yost reprised his role as Billy once Once and Always, Billy was portrayed as a successful tech mogul with his company, Cranston Technology, and still in his relationship. If in Cosmic Fury, he became a mentor to the new generation of Rangers, even creating his Cosmic Fury powers. These recent appearances served as both a heartfelt tribute to the fans and significantly an implicit apology to David Yost for the harassment he endured. Given the deeply personal and challenging experiences David Yost faced during his time in Zeo, how do you think his return for Once and Always in Cosmic Fury impacted the perception of Power Ranger franchise's commitment to inclusivity and addressing past wrongs? I think it went a really long way, and I only say that because I only say that because he was so open to being able to doing multiple projects, the fact that it was more than just Once and Always and he had a presence in Cosmic Fury, I felt like, not to say that it fully swept everything under the rug in the terms of an apology, because, that will always stay with David Yost. But I gotta think that there was some healing done there, for him and his viewpoints on the franchise in general, being able to, I mean, not to say that David Yost was off the radar, because I remember him vividly going to a lot of conventions and embracing being a part of the franchise and understanding that there was a fan base for him still out there, So I do think, I think it just adds to it. But yeah, I got to think that this brought forth some healing for him to address some of the past wrong. So I'm really glad that David Yost got the opportunity to do this, to be honest with you. My friends call me Joseph. In 2025 of June, Vin Diesel announced at a fan event that Fast X Part 2 would be the concluding chapter of the Fast and the Furious franchise, signing a return to the series' roots in Los Angeles and the tradition of old school street racing. This final installment is set to feature the controversial return of Brian O'Connor, reuniting with Dominic Toretto despite O'Connor's poignant send-off at the end of Furious 7, following Paul Walker's passing. Vin Diesel acknowledged the franchise's significant evolution from street racing to defying physics when Paul Walker's brother, Cody Walker, standing alongside. Sorry, while you guys are while I'm reading this, I hear a voice in the background, and I know I'm home by myself, and it freaked me out for a little bit, and I realize it's Alexa talking. My Alexa talking in the background. I was like, "Who's this woman's voice?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's right, it's my Alexa talking about a notification." It freaked me out for a minute. I'm like, "I am home alone, aren't I?" Anyway, um, the character of Brian has remained a presence in the narrative, referenced by the group as a stay at home father to his son and an uncle to Dom's son, little Brian. Fast X Part 1 even alluded to Brian taking Jack to the secluded location when Mia and little Brian were targeted, and his iconic blue Nissan Skyline made an appearance at the Toretto house in Fast 9, signifying his continued closeness to the family. Given these developments, how will Fast X Part 2 respectfully and effectively integrate Brian O'Connor back into the storyline for one last time while honoring Paul Walker's legacy and the character's established perfect departure? I don't know. I just hope that they, again, this is, you're asking somebody that hasn't really followed the Fast and the Furious franchise in maybe like 3 or 4 films, or at least since Brian's departure. And I haven't really cared for watching them, honestly. But so I don't know. I just hope that he's spoken with Paul. They've spoken with Paul Walker's family. I thought I read somewhere that Paul Walker's brother, didn't he might do like a stand-in spot for him or something like that. I don't know. So I don't know how big of a role he's going to have, or if they're going to take his brother and put Paul Walker's face on him or something like. I don't know. That just feels like really iffy to me. Like, let's just, like, if he's passed, let's respect his passing and move on with other stories. But I don't know. As long as he's got the parents' blessing, then I'm okay with it. As long as, as long as production has got his blessing, to use his character again, then okay. But outside of that, it feels murky to me. Sam, what's up, Sam? Hey guys, number one, new reboot of Power Rangers on Disney is starting filming in London, in the UK, on January 2026. Yes, they are. I believe Production Weekly last week or the week before announced in one of their production breakdowns that Power Rangers was getting kicked off. It doesn't surprise me, because when we did report the idea that Power Rangers had landed the showrunners from Percy Jackson to come on board, I said, now you've got writers and you've got directors in place. Pre-production for this is about to kick off. Like, this feels like they have an idea. They know what it is that they want to do with this series. And once you got the showrunners in place, man, pre-production, let's go. So the fact that January 2026, they've been working on this for several months now, working on episodes and things like that, probably some set building. I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited. Also, Common Writer Zeet's new series after Gav will be also streaming service every country, including US. Very cool. I like when they do the simulcasting stuff. They did that for Ultraman. Um, was it Ultraman? Is that what I'm thinking about? Yeah, and I dug it. I really dug it. So I'm cool. I'm glad that they're doing that. That's that westward expansion that Common Rider certainly deserves to get more eyes on it. Marky Parko. Danny McNulty, known as Harley Keener from Boy Meets World and Girl Meets World revealed the discarded storyline where Harley was the absent father of Maya Hart. In this pitch, Harley served 10 years for a wrongful conviction, breaking up with Maya's mother, Katie, unaware of her pregnancy. This backstory would have explained his reoccurring role as a janitor in Riley's middle school, as his past before his job was never explicitly detailed in Girl Meets World, only briefly mentioned in the original series where he was sent to reform school. This storyline would also have deepened the characters of both Harley, who sought redemption and inspired students, and Sean Hunter, who ultimately married Katie and became Maya's stepfather, drawing a parallel to Sean's own discovery, his non-biological mother, and the loss of his father. Given the established parallels between Maya's lack of a father and Sean's original storyline, would this rejected plot line have enriched the overall narrative of Girl Meets World and the character development of its cast? I think so. I don't think some of the character names. It's been years since I used to watch Boy Meets World religiously. I don't think I ever checked out the Girl Meets World sequel, though. Unfortunately, sequel series. But the way that you're explaining it, Marky, yeah, I totally think it would have enriched it for sure. Peg C. What's up, Peg C? What are your thoughts on the trailer for Mortal Kombat 2? And do you think Carl Urban is a good choice to play Johnny Cage? He's probably not my first choice to play Johnny Cage. But as I explained when we talked about it, I think he's a great choice in the sense of you got a veteran actor, which felt like it was really missing from the first Mortal Kombat movie. So the fact that now that they have an established and veteran actor in Carl Urban, after seeing the trailer, he looks like he's perfect for this role in regards to what you're asking from him in regards to like the Johnny Cage character. Um, and now you're putting a script in front of somebody who can elevate a script that may not be that great, right? Whereas the first Mortal Kombat, you didn't really have anybody to do that for you. So now he's probably able to take scenes and lines. Again, I don't know if the writers came back from Mortal Kombat to Mortal Kombat 2 or if they got brand new writers or whatever the case may be. But the fact that they um, brought in Carl Urban, I think is only a plus for this movie in a sense of now you are going to push the actors around him to be better so that they can be on par with Carl Urban. And you've now elevated your script a little bit more. Captain Planet series in development. What are your thoughts and who do you think should portray Captain Planet and who should portray the Planeteers? Oh man, there's just so many. There's so many Planeteers. I'm terrible at fan casting, kind of like on the spot. I'm gonna have to think about it, but I am fascinated to see how they're gonna do it. Like my thing is just making Captain Planet believable on the big screen and where he's not a joke, right? Like I don't think you can rip him directly out of the comic books and make him into live action, or you'll get like a Don Cheadle's version of Captain Planet. And he's gonna get laughed out of town. So there's gotta be some redesigning of a costume, hairstyle, hair color, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea how they're going to do it. But if there's anybody that I trust in bringing a comic book to life in a series form, it's Greg Berlanti. He's done it with the DC universe when it comes to DC television to some really great effects. Maybe not every season was great, but the scope and the some of the storylines that they were able to produce over there, really great stuff. So yeah, but I don't know. Maybe there's a bit of like he's also doing Scooby Doo, right? So maybe there is a sense of maybe leaning into the ridiculousness a little bit to kind of make it work. I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm eager for it. I'm eager for it. Blossom. Hey, remember when oh wait, was that all of them? Oh, nope, there's another one you had. What are your thoughts on James Gunn telling Henry Cavill he wasn't returning as Superman? It was really unfair to him. I'm glad that he retells this story because I see trolls all the time and Snyderverse people all the time put all the blame on James Gunn in regards to why Henry Cavill wasn't coming back, and that it's just wrong to blame James Gunn for that. If anybody should be blamed for it, it should be blamed on WB and the people certainly at charge at the time. Whether it was the first batch of managers or it was the second batch of managers or David Zaslav, whatever the case may be. I appreciate James Gunn being honest about it in the sense of like they dicked him around. They really like used him, you know. He also and he did. I don't remember even if in the recent interview if he name dropped Dwayne Johnson, but he does mention the idea of like, look, they're trying to make Black Adam. They're trying to force their way kind of into shepherding this DCU, and I think made Henry Cavill promises that they weren't able to keep, unfortunately. And then when management changes hands, unfortunately, management wants to bring in their own team and their own vision and wants to reshape things. And it's not James Gunn's fault that somebody called up James Gunn is like, hey, I want you to do a brand new Superman. And if Henry Cavill just doesn't fit into that, then unfortunately it doesn't. And he has nothing but high praise for Henry Cavill, right? He even talks about the idea that I would love to work with Henry. Like I want to bring him back in the DCU if he wants a role or if we can find something for him. And I think Henry Cavill probably has no shade towards James Gunn. Like if James Gunn and Henry Cavill have no beef with each other, I don't see why we should have a beef with James Gunn over it. It's clearly not his fault. It's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. Like I've always wanted Henry Cavill back as Superman, but I'm not going to fault new management for having David Corenswet now as Superman. The previous two regimes had their chances. They shot themselves in the foot. So much time had certainly passed. And hell, I probably would have waited 20 years for a Henry Cavill Superman, to say the least. But it's just not realistic when you're trying to rebrand and you're trying to restart things with a fresh take. And now the wind is in the sails of the DCU, and what they decided to do has officially worked. And now they're feeling very, very positive about what the future is certainly looking like. So yeah, sorry to Henry Cavill, my boy. I love you as Superman. But it's not James Gunn's fault. So I'm glad that he at least James Gunn is truthful in the sense of like, yeah, they is really unfair to him. They dick that man around, and he never got what he was promised. Blossom, hiya. Remember when I thought up Sentai villain modeled after Mr. Burns and Mr. Smithers? What if Burns inspired one is a vampiric snake? I mean, in one of the episodes, Burns was a vampire and his body is like a snake. Smithers can be some kind of dog-like creature, kind of like Finster and MMPR was. The vampiric snake actually sounds really good, really cool for Burns. Did you hear about the contest the new Sentai held for designing a Red Ranger? My best friend told me about it last night. Wouldn't it be cool if Power Rangers had something like that when we were kids? Yeah, that would actually been pretty cool. If there's still time to put in a design, Blossom, go for it. I say you submit a design too if there's still time left. But yeah, if Power Rangers had offered like the fan base to create, that would have been badass. Doomsday. I think Doomsday is the last set of questions. Do you think it's fair for some people to feel bad for those that started watching Power Rangers during the Neo Saban era? My first season was Samurai, and many people. My first season was Samurai. Many people online and offline say stuff like, "I'm sorry that your first season was Samurai," or "I'll keep you in my prayers. You didn't deserve that to be your first season." Sure, that era wasn't the best one, but with the exception of Megaforce and Super Megaforce, I've enjoyed it for the most part. If anything, people should be happy that you watch Power Rangers regardless of what season was your first. To be fair, Doomsday, I probably would have said that too. But I would just simply say it in pad, like just jokingly, like Just because there's so much good Power Rangers out there, it's unfortunate that that's like the season that you get thrusted in. But just because that's the season you get thrusted in doesn't mean I'm not proud or happy to have you as part of the Power Ranger community. Like, I'm glad that there was some outlet to Power Rangers that allowed you to become a fan of the franchise and want to continue to kind of come back for more. But just because of where Neo Saban era stuff is at in regards to how people view it, it's gonna be the butt end of a joke, sort of certainly all the time. I don't think like just because you came in that samurai though, and I joke about it, I don't think that's like, oh, this guy's got bad taste, because he came in at samurai or something like along those lines. I'm just glad that you came into the fold. But yeah, I probably would have been one of those people like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you had to sit through that. But I'm glad you enjoyed it and I'm glad that you're here, right? Like, we got to be able to make fun of ourselves a little bit in that regards. But yeah, I don't I wouldn't take it too personally, unless they start like, oh, you've got terrible taste, or like if they start making fun of you specifically in regards to it, then yeah, but I don't see that as making fun of you so much as like making fun of just Neo Saban era Power Rangers in general. And then lastly, with the Fantastic Four First Steps being released this Friday, what are your predictions for the movie? Oh my God. I don't know what predictions I have. I think we're gonna get a post credits. I'm sure we're gonna get a post credit scene. I would assume the post credit scene would also be directed by the Russos, similar to what they did with the post credit scene for Thunderbolts to kind of lead into their movie. Um, predictions. I don't think the Fantastic World survives this. I have a feeling the people of Earth, they've been really having us see the people of this world love and adore the Fantastic Four. Thank you, Fantastic Four. Thank you, Fantastic Four. Thing. Pick up that car. Pick up, like, people love the Fantastic Four. I have a feeling by the end of this movie, people are gonna hate the Fantastic Four. Not hate the Fantastic Four, but be very like um doubtful of them. Like, doubt that they're capable of saving them. Like, a lot of worry and dread is happening to the point to where I don't know if this world survives. I don't know if they are successful in stopping Galactus from doing what needs to be done, or if they're a little bit too late in doing what needs to be done. As I think something catastrophic happens in order to even get the Fantastic Four into our universe to begin with. If that is in fact them at the end of Thunderbolts. So um I don't know. I think something catastrophic might happen. Um, maybe they save the day, but maybe it's a little bit too late. You know what I mean? I don't know. I really don't know. Um, but I don't know. I don't. My expectation. I used to have. So those are some of the predictions out. The changing of how people feel about them, and the idea that I don't think Silver Surfer makes it out of this alive. I think she perishes. I do think maybe they stop Galactus, but maybe it's too late. Maybe the damage has already been done. Um, and yeah, so we'll see. Those are just some of my predictions. But I don't want to get my expectations up too high for this movie like I did with Superman. But it is interesting seeing how Jurassic World Rebirth has unfolded now. Having the opportunity to see how Superman has unfolded now. Me and Stuart did predictions in regards to like box office and maybe what we would enjoy more. I think that there is a chance that Fantastic Four ends up being the better movie out of all of them. And I don't know if I was at that point before July. Um I'm starting to have a feeling that Fantastic Four, Marvel will continue to prove itself here with back-to-back bangers with Thunderbolts, and I think Fantastic Four is going to fit that step, and we're going to take a step back and be like, "Damn, that was a really powerful movie." So yeah, if that's a prediction, my prediction would be I think Fantastic Four is going to run away at the end of July as being the better out of the three movies that we've had so far. But that's just me. And this is coming from somebody that didn't care for the trailers so much until this past week when I've been seeing a little bit more of the movie. And I think also, I don't want to say my dissatisfaction with Superman because I enjoyed the movie, but it didn't meet my expectations in the sense that I was hoping that it would. And I have a feeling that Fantastic Four has the opportunity to be a better, cohesive, well, all around put together movie. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I believe that is all of our live viewer questions. Yeah, I believe so. Is there anything else that I missed from you guys in here before we go? Marcelino says Mortal Kombat 2 looks like a reboot a little, like they saw the criticisms for the first movie and were just like, let's just start over again. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if it's maybe a start all over again, or we saw the criticisms, we learned from our mistake, and now we can continue the story just better than what we started it off with. So yeah, maybe along those lines. There are two huntresses. There's the Helena Wayne one. That's who I am aware of, who was the daughter of Batwoman and Catwoman, and the one whose parents were killed by a mob boss. That's the one that was in Prey or Birds of Prey, right? Remember that Atomic Blonde takes place in the 80s. That's right. While John Wick franchise is set in modern times, converging both would be complicated for numerous reasons. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that, Marcelino. I forgot the time period. But yeah, because I think weren't they bringing down the Berlin Wall? Maybe I'm tripping. But yeah, thank you for that reminder, for sure. But all right, guys, that will do it for our episode of A Plus Hero Report. Hopefully the quality was okay. In regards to live streaming, this may be my setup for the next several weeks until I can really get my laptop working. Even though Marcelino doesn't like me on my own show and wants Stuart back mostly, Stuart, I'm hoping, will be here next week to certainly join me at least. I'm going to see what I can do for Indy. Indy might be busy the next couple of weeks. He's trying to save up for a brand new car. So he's working his ass off right now. So hopefully we can get the trifecta, the Triforce back together here. But if not, I do expect myself and at least Stuart next week from the setup of my brand new home, as you guys can see here. But we'll make do with what we can to make sure that we continue to come back on a weekly basis for you guys. But continue to follow us, man. If you're not watching us on social medias, please do yourselves a favor. Where is my media? There we go. Right here at the bottom. A Plus Opinions everywhere on social media. You can also follow us at Hero Report on TikTok. We got over 3,000 followers over on TikTok. We post a lot of movie trailers there. I usually post a couple of 3-minute videos here and there. My monthly movie report cards, my weekly comic book hauls. When I go to the comic book store, I talk about over there on TikTok. So some of that stuff I put on TikTok, I will also put on my our YouTube channel as a short. So we definitely will continue to have new content for you guys, not only on our YouTube channel, but also on our TikTok page. And then again, follow us at A Plus Opinions everywhere on social media, especially our Facebook page. That's where we take all of the news that we talk about and drop all throughout the week for you guys to keep you guys up to date. And then at the end of the week, we take the topics from the Facebook page and we talk about them here for you guys. So if you want to stay tuned to everything that's going on, follow us on social media at A Plus Opinions, and that will do it for me here. I'll certainly see you guys next weekend. And until then, do me a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A Plus. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.